Welcome to day 3 of KiteFoil World Series Sardinia, here in the south of the island off Poeto Beach. Hi, my name's Andy Rice, a sailing journalist from the UK, and with me is local man Mirko Babini, president of Kia Wind Club, the organising club that brings so many events to this part of Sardinia. Mirko, tell us, why do we keep on coming back here? You live here, so I know you're biased, but tell us what makes this place so special.
Hi Andy, it's a long time that we are not commentating together. I'm really happy to be here and following all the regatta that hopefully we will see really good action later on. I'm really happy about all the events that happen in Cagliari. So far we gonna have one full month of event. We start with the Olympic classes national championship. Now we have the KiteFoil World Series. We gonna have next week the IQ and then Wasp, and we will end up with the wingfoil. So it's gonna be really a lot of event. I'm really happy to find really a big team and good support from the institution and Regione Sardegna for having and supporting all the event here for the sailing community.
So that's a lot of foiling going on, but the fastest and the best foiling is what we've got in front of us today. These are the kite foilers, the Formula Kite competitors from the Olympic Games less than 2 months ago. And we've got quite a few of those competitors here. We've got Olympic bronze medalist Max Mader from Singapore, for example. What we've also got going on is that there's a lot of excitement in the fleet right now, Mirko, because there's a lot of new equipment being used. We're in a new cycle leading up to Los Angeles 2028, the next Olympics, and this is one of the earliest opportunities for people to try out the new gear. So what's your impression about some of the new equipment that we're seeing?
Yes, as you said, it's really important for most of the competitor. They start using new equipment, and obviously they are using the KiteFoil World Series because they are allowed to do also different tests and maybe different setup, which the Formula Kite maybe they are not allowed to do everything like they do here. It's really interesting to see how the performance went little bit better in terms of in a wider range. Against the wind, so angle to the wind, angle downwind, the speed is different, maneuverability, and how the kite also they are flying, because they are keep really different shape. They're really stiffer than the previous one, so I guess that they will keep improving. Really important for them.
And on screen at the moment, you can see some of those new brands. We see the return of Ozone, which we haven't seen so much of in recent times. Some of the very familiar fly surfer kites that we see just going out of picture there. There's an Element just flying across the screen. That's a brand new brand. There's another couple of Element kites, the black with the red flash. So we've got various different brands in the sky, and we've got the latest updates on the foils from Chubanga and Levitas. But we'll get back into the technicals in a moment. We've had 5 races so far after the first 2 days of this regatta. Let's find out how things have gone so far. The first day of KiteFoil World Series Sardinia showed just how interesting the new Olympic cycle is going to be. There's a flurry of new kite and foil designs on the beach, and already it's clear that the latest generation of equipment is a step on from what was used at the Paris 2024 Olympics just a few weeks ago. There's also a new generation of young riders coming onto the senior circuit, and it will be interesting to see who can challenge the established names at the top of the pecking order. Day 1 out of Poeto Beach brought glorious sunshine and nice breeze, although the wind strength was up and down throughout the afternoon. The riders didn't quite know whether to go on their big kites or their medium kites for the gustier moments of the day. After 5 races, there really wasn't much in it, but 3-time winner of the KiteFoil World Series, France's Axel Mazzella sits on top of the men's leaderboard, just a point ahead of Max Mader of Singapore. In the women, a strong finish to the day put France's Jessie Campman in front of Israel's Gal Zuckerman. Day 2 was a very different story with the weather, however, as the threat of thunderstorms and the beginnings of a strong offshore Mistral breeze played havoc with the race schedule. Instead, it was a day of fun and games on the beach, or time for a serious chess battle in the cafe. As we close in on the business end of the regatta, who will take pole position by the end of Friday? It's a critical advantage to claim the leader's yellow bib by the end of today, as whoever takes those top spots in the men's and women's categories will move to match point before the medal series showdown on Saturday. So that is the state of play so far, and Mirko, it's been quite changeable breeze this week. We had, well, even on day one when we got 5 races in, really good races, but it was quite an exhausting day for the riders, never quite knowing what size of kite to choose, and yesterday gusting over 30 knots, it was too dangerous to go racing yesterday, and there have been times when it's been difficult for the riders to get off the beach today. And do you think it's still going to be an up and down day today?
Yes, honestly, what was forecasted is not what we get today. And over the last week, we had really a steady wind, sea breeze last week. It was super great, but since 3 days, it started to be not, the conditions are not stable, and we have a lot of cold front, warm, and a lot of different air temperature. This is why it makes really unstable. And I really hope that the blue sky that we have behind, it's gonna come sooner, and then if the sun come out, for sure it will help us to make it steady wind for the rest of the day.
And I don't quite know whether I should have my jumper on or not. It feels like a t-shirt day at some points, and it feels like a jumper day at others. When that sun goes in and out, that's not just affecting the temperature, it is having quite an effect on the breeze out there as well, isn't it?
Yes, exactly. I mean, when we have the sun out, we still have more than 25 degree, which is, you can swim and stay on your board short. And when it's getting cloudy, or like yesterday with the strong wind, then it goes down to 19 or 20. So we have 5 or 6 degree that it might change quite quickly. But I'm trust the forecast for 2:30, something like that, that we will get really good condition.
So the plan is, if we get all the scheduled races done today, we're going to go for a maximum of 6 races today. Each race only lasts a few minutes. It's 2 laps, and so pretty short, sharp races. But they can get pretty tired pretty quickly, can't they? There's a lot of load going through their legs, and some serious amount of strength to keep these kites going at full pace.
Yes, 6 races for them is, let's say, on the edge, the maximum that they can get, and mainly on this kind of condition, because it's really gusty. It's flat here, but where they start, which is a mile away from here, is rough, is choppy, and they have to keep pushing a lot with their legs. So also the different way how to work with their body, with the board, and with the kite. This is what it makes even difficult and even challenging for them. And the 11 minute, more or less, the target time of each races is full on. They're gonna, from the second one to the end of the regatta, they have to keep pushing a lot, because with the speed that they have, if they relax a little bit, then there is a risk of the crash.
Most of the riders, if not all of them, seem to have gone out on the 15 square meter kite. So that's the medium. That they could have chosen bigger kites than that. But what do you think about that choice to go on the 15? Did you say that's probably the right call?
I think they make the right call, because the 15 kite is the wide range, is the widest range that they can sail. With the 15, it can work with 10, 11 knots, and they can keep the same kite a little bit over than 20, which then makes sense to do that choice. I mean, they have a really wide range of use.
And that's certainly one of the things that the kite designers have tried to do this time with the new generation of kites that's now permitted for the next 4-year cycle of Formula Kite is to widen the range that these kites can be used at, because it's the constant worry, the constant headache on shore when you're looking out to sea, looking at the racecourse, is wondering what the average breeze is going to be, what's the top end gust, what's the bottom end lull, and which of those kites is going to work out best for me. And that was a critical decision, as we saw at the Olympic Games just less than 2 months ago in Marseille. Kite size choice ended up determining, or playing a determining factor in who won the gold medals in the men and the women, didn't it?
Yes, exactly. Obvious, the kite choice is really important, still important. But as you mentioned, the kite designer, one of the main topics where they work, the kite designer, is to make a wider range, and in a wider range to have the best performance. Then also to avoid the risk to have the wrong size and to reduce your performance quite a lot. So there's going to be less advantage on the future with different kite size. And also, as we mentioned before, the wind range is way bigger than the previous version of kites. So it's really a big improvement.
Well, we had 5 races on day 1 of the competition. We saw a range of kite sizes being used on that day, from the biggest through to the mediums that they've gone for today on day 3. Let's have a look at the results so far after those 5 races. And there you can see that Axel Mazella from France is currently leading by only a point, and also that he's using very different gear to Max Mader from Singapore. So we got different foil choice, different kite choice, and then you go down to Benoit Gomez in 3rd, and he's using yet another kite design. So 3 different kite designs in the top 3. And then in 4th, Jan Stragiotti, he's one of the up-and-coming riders, really made a good step up from junior level, winning the Youth Worlds, and now moving up and showing that he's competing on really level terms with some of the best in the world at senior level. Riccardo Pianozzi from Italy, 4th at the Olympic Games, currently lying in 5th here. Conor Bainbridge, the Olympic representative for Great Britain, using a brand new ozone design that he's helped to develop, along with Axel Mazzella in the lead. So really keen to get back on their ozone kites. Yanis Maus, now studying a PhD straight after finishing 5th at the Olympic Games for Germany. Martin Dolenz from Croatia, also an Olympian from the recent games, lying in 8th. And yet more Olympians, Cameron Marimonides from Greece, and Flo Gruber, the 30-year-old, maybe even nudging 31, I'm not quite sure, but one of the older riders, but still going fast, and one of the fly surfer jockeys using one of the newer fly surfer kites like we see in picture there at the moment. And I think that's Jan Stragiotti. He's in 4th place, wearing the grey bib for being in 4th place. Jan Stragiotti, he's grown enormously in size and also in confidence, Mirko, and he's starting to look like the real deal.
Yeah, Jan Stragiotti is young, and I guess that winning the Youth World, it gave him quite a good confidence, and he start to be more comfortable to stay and to make the regatta between the top rider. So it just break the wall when you start to get into with the leader in the top of the fleet. Then I think it's a really good push for him, and it's really important because he's still really young.
Yes, although no one's ever young for very long in this fleet, are they? I mean, once you get into your mid-20s, you're starting to be one of the older riders in this fleet. But maybe that will change over time. It'd be interesting to see how long the first generation of riders who came into this game extremely young, how long will they stay in the game? Will they stay in the game, say, through to their late 20s and possibly into their early 30s and maybe even late 30s? It'd be interesting to see if they're still competitive.
Yeah, this is a really interesting thing, because we have, our fleet is really a young fleet. But as you said, is first generation, second generation, they're still younger. We are looking on Flo. When we see Flo, Florian Gruber walking on the beach. It seems that he's almost 40, but he's, which is not.
No, just by comparison, I mean, he does look like a 30-year-old, but just 30 does look old on this beach, which doesn't do much for us, does it, Mirko?
Not anymore, unfortunately.
And there's a North Sails kite, also one of the new entrants onto the kite scene. Obviously, one of the biggest brands in conventional sailing, but a new entrant into the world of Formula Kite. I don't know if you've had a chance to look at any of these designs, Mirko, but what do you make of what you've seen so far of the new technology?
Yeah, mainly, as you can see, there is Element, which is a really an interesting shape. They are using the wave leading edge shape, which is
it's like a whale's tail,
yeah,
isn't it?
Exactly.
Like or a whale's fin, where it sort of scallops in and out and in and out.
Yes, exactly. Which usually on foil profile, it just gives stability with different kind of pressure on it between the low and the upper pressure. And then there is this is the Element. Then the Fly Surfer, which we see the Fly Surfer is more, the arc is a little bit flatter on the center and more close on the wingtip. And Ozone almost the same as a Fly Surfer, but they have different bridle. It seems to be more with more tension within the bridle, and also really close to the north, which is more arc and more tension. I mean, the bridle on the front row of the bridle, you have really a lot of tension as well. So it's gonna be interesting how all the competitors, they will change and start to understand the new kite, and how they will refine all the new setup with all the knots, all the little trimming things, rigging system.
Yes, still a lot of fine tuning to be done, and this is one of the most exciting phases in the 4-year cycle, because no one really knows who's on the fastest kit, and you can never really tell whether it's the kit that's fastest or whether you're sailing it well or sailing it badly. I mean, even if you're a good rider, you need to adapt to new equipment and find new techniques, don't you?
Yes, yes, exactly. And this is why it will be really important for most of them to have a full winter full of training period everywhere, and the different condition testing all the new equipment. I guess that the year one, which is the beginning of the new quad, is going to be really important to keep a lot of time, to keep a lot of tracking all their training everywhere. Maybe I know that few of them, they will spend all the winter in Sardinia or Canary Island or in Portugal or Mexico. We know that there is different places.
Well, we've got just under 1 minute to the start of our first of 6 races today. It's one fleet with the men and the women all starting off one line, so it's going to be hard to pick out some of the leading women in the middle of the pack, but currently it's Jessie Campman in the lead, the French rider just ahead of Israel's Gal Zuckerman, with local rider Italy's Maggie Pachetto in third, and Switzerland's Olympic representative Elena Langvilla in fourth. So you can try and watch out. We're trying to identify the coloured bibs that the top 4 women are wearing. 22 seconds to the start. As you would expect, most are starting on starboard. That's the safer option, but we'll find out in a moment if anyone is going for the more risky port tack start, and I think there will be a few going for that. We'll see them appear in picture fairly soon. 5 seconds to go. Watch the fleet of kites swing down their kites down into the power zone, and there you can see 4 port tack starters firing out to the left-hand side of your picture, going out towards the right-hand side. And Mirko, there's a really big land feature on that side. It's called what? Devil's Mountain?
Yes, exactly. Sella del Diavolo.
And what tends to be the favoured side to go in these sort of conditions?
Yeah, usually it's better stay on the right side of the course. Let's see if they come close to shore and they keep the starboard side as a second leg. I would go on the right, but let's see.
Well, Benoit Gomez, the French rider, he's a very unconventional man in many, many ways. He's a free thinker and he loves a port tack start. He's one of those that opted for the port tack start, and he's doing really well out towards the right-hand side of the course. So, Mirko, you say that tends to favour the right-hand side of the course from this wind direction. Let's see how it works out for Gomez, because it's looking pretty good for him so far.
Yes, exactly. Benoit is leading with Jacopo Esti and SP and Wojciechowska. They are on port, all the way close to shore. They will hit the ley line pretty soon. Let's see what's happened with the line that they're gonna have to the mark.
So here we see the range of kites. We see a number of the old fly surfers. Mirko, what are you seeing?
No, I'm seeing that so far, looking on the angle that they have, it seems that the one that went on the right side, they are a little bit in front. So let's see, they will start to cross between each other pretty soon. It seems that what pay is the right side. It was the right side of the course, which I expected, but it's just a little bit earlier. In the next couple of seconds, we will see.
Certainly things looking good for Benoit Gomez, designer of the new Element kites, and the Element kite you see it, the black with the red stripes, doing extremely well there. That's Martin Dolans with the blue fly surfer kite just going up in the air in that last shot.
Yeah, you can see how the kite is moving a lot. That means it's pretty gusty, and each gust they might have, you can see also on the screen, there is different gusts, so it might end up that they will cross the one that went to the left pretty close. Really depends on the last gust, if they make them in front or not. And we see Ricky Pianosi from the tracker. It went pretty safe on the left side, and he had the highest speed.
And it is Riccardo Pianosi around in first place. So good top end of the beat for Pianosi, followed by the young Swiss rider Gian Andrea Stragiotti, who we mentioned earlier. And then around in third place, Axel Marzella, our yellow bib wearer, currently leading the series after the first 5 races of day one. Very close with them. And Marzella using an ozone, followed by his fellow ozone designer and developer Conor Bainbridge from Great Britain in fourth, and a bit of a gap between the top 4 and the rest of the pack, and it's looking really congested up at the top mark for the rest of the pack.
Yes, exactly. It was really interesting, the first upwind. Just a couple of them, just Axel and Ricky Pianosi and
Benoit?
And Gian Andrea Stragiotti, and they were on the left side of the course, but only them, they make it in front of the one that went to the right side. So that means they keep a lot of speed. They got the good chance to be clear ahead and to play with the gust, and they make it. But it was more conservative, the one that went to the right.
So they're doing around 35 knots of speed downwind, incredible speeds in this relatively flat water here just out of Poeto Beach in the south of Sardinia. This is day 3 of KiteFoil World Series Sardinia, and this is an important day for trying to establish your spot in tomorrow's medal series, when we will see the last 10 contesting the medal series, and 9 of those spots are up for grabs by the end of today's racing.
Yeah, now it's really interesting to see why I have some problem on the tracking for Riccardo Pianosi. It seems to be crashed, but it's not moving the tracking.
Going into the jibe towards the bottom of the race course, and it's the all blue kite of Martin Dolans that's also doing well there, I think. No, sorry, that's the burgundy kite of Gian Stragiotti.
Gian Stragiotti and Axel Marzella.
And then Jan Stragiotti, Axel Mazzella, Conor Bainbridge also in amongst the front few, and Martin Dolence not far behind, but just out of picture. One that we haven't mentioned much of is Max Mader. We would expect Max Mader to be somewhere up here, and I'm not sure what's up with Max. So
Yeah, me too, Andy. I can't see on the tracking.
we Okay, I think Max Mader is also up there. Just watch out for the blue bib, because that's what Max is wearing. And I don't think he's featuring on the tracking, but Max Mader is somewhere in amongst this top group as well. Maybe Max just to the right-hand side of the front two.
One of the two on the leader.
Yes, I think that could be Jan Stragiotti with Max Mader just trying to go through to leeward. And Conor Bainbridge just a little bit further back from the front two. And there is that imposing Devil's Mountain. It sounds so much better in Italian. What's it called again? Something of Diavolo?
Sella del Diavolo.
Sella del Diavolo. And what does that mean? Sella?
Sella is the seat. The
seat. The devil's seat.
The devil's seat, yeah.
The saddle. The devil's saddle, like when the devil's riding on horseback. Okay. And here comes one of the Ozone kites firing upwind. So good to see different colours, different brands here battling it out at the front of the fleet. It's been absolutely dominated by Fly Surfer in the previous two seasons leading up to the Paris 2024 games. But in the background, a lot of these riders have been working with their brands, with the brands that sponsor them, or maybe the brands that they're actually part of. And now the KiteFoil World Series, where you're allowed to bring anything you like. This is where you get to use this stuff in competition. And that's Max Mader that we're looking at there, using one of the new Fly Surfer kites and also using the new Levitas foil. And we know Max Mader has been the best rider of the past couple of seasons overall. He's won so many things, but the old Levitas was fast, but it was also a little bit unstable. And the feedback we're hearing from the riders is that the new Levitas has all the speed of the previous design, but it's a lot more forgiving. Where if you break the tip out of the surface of the water, it doesn't crash you into the drink. It looks like Max Mader has just got around ahead of Jan Stragiotti, but this is some kind of competition. Jan Stragiotti just getting better and better by the regatta. He wasn't at the recent Olympic Games, but here he is racing up against the very best. But it's going to be Max Mader that goes through the line just ahead of Jan Stragiotti.
And Axel Mazzella third.
Axel Mazzella in third, followed by another Ozone rider, Conor Bainbridge from Great Britain. And then soon to be followed by Martin Dolence from Croatia. Lucas Fonseca from Brazil having a very good race. And then Switzerland's Karl Mader, brother of the Singaporean Max Mader. So Karl Mader also going very well for Switzerland. And Wojciech Koska, Florian Gruber, Sam Dickinson, Yanis Maus, the next few across the line. And we'll see if we can identify who is going to be the first of the leading ladies. It looks like Elena Lengweiler from Switzerland is only just outside the top 10 overall. So Lengweiler from Switzerland, the first of the women. A few riders back, it's Jessie Campman, the second of the women. And then a few further back than that, you got the two Israeli riders, Maya Ashkenazi and Gal Zuckerman. And just a little bit further back than that, Maggie Pachetto from Italy. So that's as things stand after race one. That's it says race 6 there. It is race 6 in the overall series. It's our first race of day 3, and we're expecting 5 more. We'll go to a quick break and we'll be back to you shortly.
There was also Cameron Maremedidis. I think he got 5th or 6th.
Okay, so we're just waiting to hear what's going to happen next, but hopefully we'll be able to get into another race fairly soon. And I wonder, do you think there's time for anybody to come back to the beach and make any changes after that race, Mirko?
I can see a couple of them just coming close to shore. They might change, but I don't think they will change for a bigger kite. Maybe they are try to guessing or change some tuning on their kite, or maybe they are keep playing, you know, also on the foil.
Here's the scene on Poeto Beach. Some of the riders have come back to shore. Most are going to stay out there and stay with what they've got. So I'm not quite sure what these riders are doing. It looks like some are breaking out different kites, so maybe it's a different size of kite. And could it actually also be a different brand of kite? So some riders are keen to test as much equipment as they can, and maybe they're trading in a fly surfer for an Element or maybe an Ozone. So there's also that to consider, Mirko. They're just using every race as a competitive opportunity to test what they think is working and how the different designs are comparing with each other. Do you reckon that's a possibility?
Yeah, there is plenty of option to test, and I reckon that some of them also they change just the bar with different line lengths or different line as well. There is few that they stretch more than the others. Also, we are really getting on small details. And also, as you said, they are allowed to have also some extra testing, not only on the new kite, but they still also have some prototype things to see, which is to test, which is really important.
Well, talking of different kite designs, we had a chat with Benoit Gomez, who's really been working hard on developing his new brand called Element. So let's hear what Benoit had to say about kite design.
I'm a rider since already a few years, and I'm always really interested by all the technical parts of the kite and the foil. So for me, spending time in the water, like setting some kite and developing, helped me to reach the right performance and helped me to know more my material. So the brand that I did is Element Kiteboarding. I get associated with two Switzerland, one designer and one guy who's helped us for all the development of the structure. Especially KiteFoil racing it's always compromised between stability, performance, accessibility. So like as a rider, like when I saw how many kites we have to buy to be on the top level, I wanted to try to get a kite which is easy to use, good performance and very durable. So we put everything in our side to make the kite as best as possible. For durability, we use heavier fabric that make the kite more durable. And yeah, we went a little bit on the extreme with the aspect ratio and the design. We have a patent leading edge that makes the kite special and super stable. So yeah, we are really happy to be here to make it on time for the registration. And yeah, we have a good kite and also in the future free ride range coming.
So that's the scene with people going back out, and actually Benoit Gomez is one of those that's come in and now going out again, and pretty sure that they are changing things over just to maximize their testing opportunities. So not necessarily to change size, but just to try out different designs, because that's the great thing about KiteFoil World Series events. You can use absolutely anything you want. And for example, in Formula Kite, the women are now limited to a kite size of maximum 19 square meters. But at the event in Austria, just a few weeks ago, Elena Langwiller from Switzerland was using one of the 23 square meters kites. So it was a really light wind moment in the competition, and she just decided to go for maximum power, maximum size. And what would your own approach be, Mirko, if you were working towards the next Olympic Games, but and so you would normally as a man limit yourself to the new maximum size of 21? Would you get used to that? Or if you saw an opportunity to win because everyone was on a 21 and you're on a 23, or even a 25, we've seen a 25, what would you do?
I mean, obviously depend really on condition and how deep you know your equipment. What I'm start looking now with all the new kite is really important to know your equipment and to use the new one, which you can have more speed to go with more not more power, but just more performance in terms of speed and VMG, which it give you the which maximize the your faster performance to the mark that you have to round. So it's really important not to be big, but to go fast. And they start learning that, and all the new kites, it seems that they are way faster than the previous one, without just make the choice for the biggest size.
Well, someone who's not going to push too hard on the development because he's decided to take time out to do a PhD, but he's still here. He's competing, but not expecting to win. That's Germany's recent Olympic representative, Yannis Maus. Let's hear what Yannis is planning for the next phase in his busy life.
So we finished the Olympics at the 8th of August, and basically then I went back home after, of course, all the amazing experiences that we gathered with the closing ceremony. And immediately on the 1st of September I went back to the university and went straight into my studies, into the PhD on wind energy. I've always been included with the scientific world. Before I was fully focusing on the kiting, I finished my master's degree also in the wind energy sector. And basically in the working group that I'm working at, they really wanted to keep me and motivate me to do the PhD also in their group. Study that in the wind tunnel. We have it in the north of Germany, and we have a pretty big wind tunnel. I have 2 years of something little different to do, so I went full on with the kiting, but I was always sure that after the Olympics I definitely needed something different, something for my brain again, to activate things. What I'm doing in my PhD is to find better ways to handle these big gusts, these big wind changes, and how to optimize wind parks and like renewable energies concerning these atmospheric conditions. My goal is really to have Germany as the top, or one of the top countries in 2028. So if it's me or if it's the young gun Jan Wöster or anybody else, I would love to be involved in the journey towards the LA.
Do you hope to come back to Los Angeles 2028?
Probably that would be my dream, to actually go to LA in 2028 as Dr. Maus.
So will we see Dr. Yannis Maus on the start line of the Olympic Games at Los Angeles 2028? Or he referred to another name, one of the up-and-coming Germans, Jan Wöster, will have a find out a little bit more about Jan Voster another time. We've got an interview with him, but we've got 3 minutes to the start of this race. And I was remarking to Yanis earlier, Mirko, that Yanis Maus has still got his impressive six-pack, but is he going to be able to maintain that six-pack body while studying a PhD in wind energy? I mean, it's difficult to maintain that sort of physique when you're in the world of academia.
Yeah, I think that the challenge that he will have is to manage his time. You need really to make a proper schedule and to work really well, not losing the focus on the sport, on the performance, on the training, and it's gonna be important. we start see some crash because now the wind is getting stronger for sure because the sky is cleared from the back. A proper mistral start blowing, so the gust will get stronger and stronger. This is the yellow beep.
I think that must be Jesse Campman.
Jesse, exactly. I was just thinking about that because he has a fly surfer.
And Jessie has been sort of wondering whether she was going to come back and really go hard at the another campaign because she put so much in to the last campaign. And if you remember earlier in the year, about 6 months ago, we had the Formula Kite European Championship in Mar Menor, Spain. And who blocked out the women's podium? 3 French riders, Lauriane Nalot, Jessie Campman and Poe Manulan. But as we know, only one from every country gets to go. And that was Lauriane Nalot, who ended up getting the silver medal on home waters in Marseille. But it absolutely gutting for Jessie Campman and Poe Manulan to know that they are world class. They probably would have been able to win medals if they had been able to go to the games. And Jessie's been on a big journey. She was coming back from a major injury this time last year, had an incredible comeback. Then recently stepped back onto the board, won KiteFoil World Series Austria on Lake Trounsey just a few weeks ago. Currently leading this competition in the women. But she's actually going down to South Africa to work in a law firm for a few weeks down there because she just wants to remind herself what life is like in the real world, if we can call it that. We've got 45 seconds to go. We'll catch up a little bit more on those stories within the fleet in a moment. But this is the second race of our 6-race session that we have scheduled today. And we've got 30 seconds to go. We saw the power of doing the port tack start. We saw Benoit Gomez doing very well out of the port tack start on the previous race. But it wasn't actually the winning move. So you can do well from both sides of the race course, can't you, Mirko?
Yes, exactly. And now it's getting stronger and stronger. Let's see if they will prefer to be more comfortable and come close to shore to have a flatter water on the side, or maybe go out because the wind, it might be a little bit stronger. It's going to be interesting.
Well, it's a beautiful picture, isn't it? Oh, yeah. What have you seen? A number of successful port tack starts.
Exactly. Start not clear, but let's see. That might be out.
Yes, quite possible. So it's a risky start going across the front of the fleet on port. And did some of them pull the trigger a little bit too soon? Well, we'll have to find out who that is in a moment. But we've just been speaking about Yanis Maus. We saw that interview with the German rider, and he's one of the front runners right now. Yanis Maus doing very well in the early stages of the race.
Yeah, it seems that there is a little shift on the wind, as we are seeing also here stronger and a little bit more to the right. It seems that it's pay off to stay on the left side of the course, hit the ley line, and come all the way on port, close to the top mark.
Lorenzo Boschetti from Italy also doing very well in the early stages. Now, Lorenzo was also pushing hard to get a place for the Olympics, didn't quite make it for the Italian spot. He was beaten to that place by Riccardo Pianozzi. Mirko, you know Lorenzo very well. How much time has he been putting in on the board lately?
I must say he take a break during the summer. He spent a lot of time in Sardinia anyway, keep himself on the water, winging, surfing, and doing other stuff. As far as he receive all the new equipment, he just switch on his training mode and he start to keep himself in the water quite a long time. So it just started a few weeks ago, but full on. I guess that is testing a lot, and this is the one that we can see with the North Kite, which is completely new. And so for sure, he need to do some extra work on that kite because they don't have the experience from the previous squad, and it's a really good challenge for him.
Okay, so Lorenzo seeing if North Sails can be brought up to speed and can start to challenge the more well-known brands in the kitefoiling world, the ones like Fly Surfer, Ozone, and Element. So really great to have North Sails in the mix as well. Meanwhile, up at the front of the fleet, it's very close with the front few, and one of the names doing well yet again, Jan Stragiotti, second in the previous race. He's up there. There's a Mader up there, but it's Carl Mader who's certainly doing very well up there.
I think it's a blue beep as well, which we don't have on the track, but with the red Fly Surfer.
So that's also Max Mader. So we got two Maders doing very well up the front of the fleet. But who's coming in on starboard? It looks like it's Jan Stragiotti with the burgundy kite who is coming in ahead. I think Martin Dolence with the blue kite is looking like he's going to go round in second. But this is a really significant lead for Jan Stragiotti, and he's absolutely on fire. One of the few riders at the front of this fleet that didn't go to the recent Olympic Games, but he's looking so strong. So whatever Jan Stragiotti's been doing while the rest have been competing in the Olympics, it's certainly been working well for the young Swiss rider. Absolutely running away with this race right now, but being chased by some big names like Britain's Conor Bainbridge, France's Benoit Gomez, Greece is Cameron Marimonides, and Germany's Yannis Maus, and also in the mix is Maximilian Mader from Singapore. So some really big names chasing down that young rider, Jan Stragiotti.
But look what the picture is, we can see on the screen. It's something which is really important compared to the previous year. You have a couple of one on the lead, and then you have 10 competitors within a second, maybe 2 seconds. More than 10 competitors all together is just enough small mistake, and then you are done and you lose 10 place. Is really important.
Not that you can see watching on the screen right now, but from our position on the beach, we can see number 55 heading out with an Element kite, and that is Riccardo Pianozzi, the Italian Olympic representative, fourth at the Olympic Games. He's not competing in this race because he's currently trying to get out there, trying to get off the beach using an Element kite. So I wonder if he's given up this race to specifically try and use something different. But meanwhile, oh, there we have it. Thank you, camera crew. There is a shot of Riccardo Pianozzi trying to get off the beach. It's not easy, even for some of these really good world-class riders when it's this wind direction. But meanwhile, we're back to the action coming down towards the bottom of the course, and Jan Stragiotti, I don't know if he's got a lump in his throat. I don't know how much he's feeling the pressure, but it's not showing because Stragiotti gets round the bottom of the course in the lead, and he is ahead of Max Mader. So it's these two again. It's the two riders using new Fly Surfer kites, but Max Mader, yes, he won the first race just ahead of Stragiotti. Will Stragiotti be able to hold on ahead of Max Mader this time round?
This is going to be really interesting. Yeah, Stragiotti is on fire today. He has his fresh leg from yesterday.
That's right, and yeah, he's a very young guy. Not that Max Mader is exactly an old boy. He's only just turned age 18. He only just become an adult after just winning the Olympic bronze medal a few weeks ago in Marseille. But it looks very, very close between these front two. And yet again, we're seeing this match race between Stragiotti and Mader, with Britain's Conor Bainbridge not far back in third, followed by France's Benoit Gomez. So yet again, in the top four, we've got three different kite designs featuring.
is a really an important thing. Having on the top 5 3 different brands, it means that there is a real improvement between the sales designer, and for sure a lot of work for the competitors as well.
And the Ozones have gone to the 2-string system. They got away from the 4-bridle system to the 2-bridle system that Fly Surfer managed to make work in the previous cycle. So I guess the challenge there is you've got less windage, so you've got less aerodynamic resistance because you've got fewer strings in the sky, but it's harder to control the kite. So I guess that is the challenge.
Exactly. And another thing that you can see, when they want to go for speed and to increase the VMG, we can see Gian Stragiotti hitting 27.5 on the upwind leg, 27.5, and we have 10 to 12, 11 knots on true wind speed. It's really a new target.
A new level.
Yeah.
And also in the front view, just on the right of your picture, Martin Dolence with the blue Fly Surfer. And down at the bottom of your picture, Benoit Gomez, the French rider, using one of his own designed element kites. And you can see that element kite, the wave edge design that Mirko was talking about earlier. But there's a little gust there that Martin Dolence just managed to get. It's very streaky breeze and a bit of a splash down here.
Yeah, I saw.
Oh,
He completely loses control, and
that's a disaster. I'm just trying to work out who that is. That might take us a while to work out who that is. Here is the battle between one of the element kites and one of the new Fly Surfers.
This is Max for sure with the blue beeps.
And it's Gian Stragiotti still leading this race.
And the red beeps behind. Benoit Gomez.
So Gian Stragiotti wins a race just ahead of Benoit Gomez from France. What an incredible performance by the young Swiss rider so far today. Just finished outside first place in the first race, just beaten by Max Mader in the first race, but not this time. Gian Stragiotti wins the race, and now comes the pack piling across the line. And I start to wonder if the board that lost control, the rider that lost control of their board, could that have been Max Mader? I'm not sure if we saw Max Mader cross the finish line just then. There was such a flurry of kites. There comes a yellow bib. That looks like Axel Mazzella with the yellow bib coming across quite far back after the leading pack. So I'm not sure what happened to Mazzella. Was it Mazzella that had that problem? But Mazzella finishing almost outside the top 10 then.
It wasn't an ozone, and it was more...
I think you're right. I think it was possibly a Fly Surfer.
Yeah, it was a Fly Surfer to me, but Axel... I mean, just on the edge of the top 10, for sure happened something to Axel as well. I mean, when the wind is gusty and
Jesse Cameron just going out. So Jesse Cameron crossing the line, certainly up amongst the front few women. Sorry, carry on, Mirko.
Yeah, no, I'm saying that with the wind, when it starts to be gusty and shifty, you have really to keep an eye always on the upwind legs mainly, because if the gusts come with a really different angle, the kite might collapse or just reverse a little bit, and if you are not ready, then it happened what we just saw on the screen, and you lose control and you start spinning on the air.
The other factor we've got to bear in mind with that race is that we know it wasn't a clear start, so we don't yet know who was disqualified. So I've heard that it's Sam Dickinson from Great Britain who was over, so that's not going to affect the outcome of the top few. So I think that means we're safe in congratulating Gian Andrea Stragiotti in winning that race, and also some impressive stats, Mirko, about who was going quickly. And you mentioned some of the speeds earlier in the race, but look who was fastest. Who was our fastest on the water?
Martin Dolen hit almost 40 knots, 39.2. This is the fastest speed on the downwind legs for Martin Dolan, which is insane, close to 40 knots just with one foil and two legs, one man, and we are not talking with the America's Cup.
No, we're not. No, it's you get good bang for buck here. I mean, you know, it still costs you a few €1,000, but it's not going to cost you tens of millions of euros.
No, you don't have to call another 7 friends to top of it.
We will take a quick break. We'll be back to you soon for the start of race 3. So we got 10 minutes to the start of the next race. The breeze is blowing beautifully. We heard that Gail Zuckerman had to duck out of that race. She had a problem with a snap line on her bridle, so the Israeli rider had to come back to shore and get that sorted. And we also saw earlier in that race that Riccardo Pianozzi was going out from the beach in the middle of that race, so he wasn't competing either. And we're speculating that the Italian was probably switching over to an element kite, which would be a new experience for him. It is for most of them, because the element kites really haven't been around for very long at all. So some of these riders very keen to try out different kites and even change kites in between races, and not necessarily because the breeze is changing that much, but more just to do a sort of a performance comparison between one brand and another. Miko, it looks like the breeze is up a little bit more than before, so do you think some might be tempted to come back to shore and change to a different size, or is it we still in the range of 15?
We're still in the range of the 15, which is the size that most of them they are using it, and everyone they are already out waiting for 9 minutes almost for the next start of race 3.
And apparently Gal had a problem trying to avoid another rider who flew into her, so that was how the bridle snapped. And I'm not going to name and shame that rider, but it's becoming a bit of a theme. There's a certain rider I'm sure doesn't mean to cause any harm, but seems to have a habit of ending up in the middle of some of these crashes. So I'm not quite sure what's going on there. And I shouldn't necessarily laugh about it either, because the speeds these riders are doing, you really don't want to have collisions.
No, absolutely not. Now we see that Gal, she come back in the beach to change her kite as well. It seems that it's smaller. We can't see the size from here, but for sure she went for a smaller one.
I'm just trying to see if we can read the number on it. I don't know. I mean, if it's not a 15, what would it be? Would it be an 11? Can't quite make it out. But I think it might still be a 15.
It's a 15, maybe a different one.
Yeah, it is a 15. And Gal Zuckerman gets up and running, and so we wish the Israeli rider all the best for the next race. And she's also girlfriend of Benoit Gomez, who's been going very well with his element kites, doing his traditional, I say traditional, I don't know how often he does a port tack start, but we see a lot of port tack starts by Benoit Gomez, and some very daring, brave port tack starts executed in that start that we saw just now. There's a little bit more of a relaxed vibe because we are just post-Olympics and people are enjoying just going kiting without all the pressure of the Olympic Games. And in Austria, just a few weeks ago, we had all 3 men Olympic medalists there in Austria, and they had a nice catch up together. Let's hear what they had to say each other just a few weeks after they'd finished competing against each other in Marseille.
Starting here 3 years ago was my first regatta, and I didn't really know what to expect, what to go for. First goal was just to manage to get into the Olympics, be part of it, and work towards 28 to potentially get a medal. And worked hard, put the right stones in the right time, and took the right steps at the right time. And I think together with my team, the Austrian Federation, also we really had a great support behind me. And I think one of the most important things for sure is that just my love to the sport, doing it because I just enjoy it, not because of the fame, not because of the money behind it or whatever, just because I really want to push this sport forward, push this sport to a different level, and kind of leave my footprint a bit with this sport. And that's, I think, the most important thing, and it's still keeping me going every day, being here even if we have to wait and it's a bit fresh. But it's just the community, the fun between the guys. I think what we still do much better than some of the other sailing classes is having the competitiveness on the water, and being buddies and friends off the water and hanging around, like Max said, like a kindergarten at the Olympic Games in the waiting area. Just the friendship between each other is really good.
I have a picture of the top 10 in the waiting area to go out, all together hanging out, and we were like talking, we were laughing, and like the girls and the ladies, the ladies that were taking care of us, showing us and telling us what we have to do, they were like stunned at the fact that like they're like, you guys are friends. Like, yeah, we're friends. Like, it's amazing. The community here is great. Like, you normally never see this in any competitiveness in sailing, anything like this. It's an amazing thing. And then on the last day, the last 4, maybe the tension was a bit higher. But what I said to you guys, don't matter what happens. At the end of the days, let's be friends, and we keep the competitiveness on the water.
Yeah. One thing I learned about the Olympics is that for sure, especially also along the way, it's not always fun in games, but if you're dedicated and you put the work in every day, and even on the days that you don't want to go, you push forward and push through, at the end it will pay off. And also one very big motto that I definitely stand for even more now after these games is that everything happens for a reason.
Kiting is just so freaking awesome, man. Isn't it? Yeah. It's just so awesome.
Yes.
So that was Valentin Bontas from Austria, the new Olympic champion, Tony Vodicek from Slovenia, who got the silver, and Max Mader, who got the bronze medal for Singapore. And you can see that the friendship prevails through all the rivalry and all the struggles to beat each other on the water when it matters the most at the Olympic Games. That sense of friendship still prevails through all that pressure. Mirko, what's your thought about why Valentin Bontas ended up coming out on top at the Olympic Games? Because that was a bit of a surprise, wasn't it?
I mean, it was a surprise. I guess that himself as well, he found as a surprise when he crossed the finish line, and he just figured out that I'm a gold medalist. But honestly, from the insider, a lot of people knows, most of the coaches knows that with those specific condition, and with big kite in this wind range, is super fast, and he nailed it. He makes 0 mistake, and he keep his performance under than 10%, and he make it. I mean, at that moment, the Olympic is one race that counts usually it's the last one that count and no mistake, and he deserved it. He really did well, and he got also the chance because it's always also about the chance you need. I mean, nothing to take off from athletes, but they need to have some of this part, and he make it, and he deserved it. It was the fastest one in that moment, and he deserved to win.
And mentally, he looked really comfortable in what most people consider to be a really high pressure environment. In the end, pressure is only what you put on yourself. It doesn't matter whether it's Olympic Games or a weekend race at your local club. We talk about pressure, but you can choose to feel that pressure or not. And Valentin psychologically seemed to be in a place where he was really enjoying being at the Olympic Games, and he really seemed to soak up the atmosphere. Is that something that you sensed?
Yes, yes, exactly. Valentin is from looking from outside. Maybe inside himself is different, but from outside you can see he's always calm, and is I wouldn't say smiling, but he's focused, but without being stressed, and which is really good for an athlete. And now, I mean, now he's a gold medal. He's a real athlete. He's an Olympian for life, and I guess that his head is really positive to keep himself comfortable on the leading.
We got 1 minute to go to the next start. Let's have a quick look at the results from the previous race, just to update ourselves. So that's with the scores added in from just now. So Max Mader moves to the top ahead of Axel Mazzella. And look at Jan Stragiotti. He started the day in fourth, but he's moving up and he's only 2 points off the lead now. And Benoit Gomez also doing well. So there's a bit of a breakaway between the top four right now. But Stragiotti is our standout rider of the day thus far. Will the Swiss rider be able to maintain that? And just scan down the rest of the top 10 before we go back to the start of the next race. This is going to be race 8, and we will try and update you with the women's scores a little bit later on as well. Here comes the lineup with just 10 seconds to go. Race 8 about to get underway. The kite's about to swing down towards the water, and that whole range of different colours of kites and brands about to get going, and somehow someone gets through. That's an amazingly brave port tack start. We'll try and identify who that is in a moment. It was a burgundy fly surfer kite, and I thought that was going to result in disaster, but somehow they managed to get away with it.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
It was possibly Cameron Marimonides, or it might have been, it wasn't Benoit Gomez. Benoit Gomez again on one of the early port tack starters. But whoever that was, wow. That took some bravery. And when you get it wrong, when you get the port tack start wrong, it's...
Maybe Max Mader, because he isn't with the track and with the tracker, and it might be the one that went all the way through the fleet, just unless missing the first one close to the pin, and then he zigzagged a little bit, he slalomed, and then he went all the way to the other side. I'm really curious to see.
Yes, who was that?
It was brave enough to make us like, oh, wow, no more word to comment.
So, as usual, the port tack starters, the ones that managed to get away with it, managed to do pretty well in the early stages, but we're still seeing people doing very well from the right-hand side, or sorry, the left-hand side of the race course, which is obviously where most of the fleet end up because they start on starboard. But who's going to come out on top? We're seeing a number of those starboard tackers tacking onto port as they hit the left-hand ley line on the left-hand side of the race course. Axel Mazzella, he's just about the most far left. That's Mazzella, bottom left of your screen, using that black and blue and white ozone.
And it's a blue bib with a red fly surfer, and then Mazzella with a yellow bib. So Max Mader is on port, and
looking a little bit faster, I would say, than Mazzella there. Just in that brief moment, it looked like Mader was really accelerating away from Mazzella there. So
Yeah.
I think we can eliminate Max Mader from our inquiries. He's not that lone port tack starter that we
No.
saw.
No.
It's someone using a Burgundy fly surfer kite. So let's see if there's any Burgundy fly surfer kites doing well up the front of the fleet as they converge on the top windward mark for the first time. Max Mader and Axel Mazzella leading the charge on this side of the course. Bottom right of your picture, Yannis Maus, the German.
Which it can be Giannis Mouse because he has also fly surfer.
That's true. It's that there's a kite in about sixth place that's the same color of kite that we're talking about, but round in the lead, it is it Cameron Maramonides in the lead? I think it might be Greece's Cameron Maramonides.
And this is Max with a red fly surfer and 36.
So that is Maramonides from Greece who's leading. So
He's
great,
leading.
great
Greece,
to see.
the Greek guy, great. Well done. Keep the speed.
Using one of Benoit Gomez's Element kite designs, clearly making it go fast. And will he be able to keep Max Mader behind him on the fly surfer kite? Maramonides still leading going into the jibe. Max Mader was earlier to jibe. And you can see the gusts at the top of your screen. There are good gusts on the far side of the racecourse. Axel Mazzella, the right of picture, wearing the yellow bib and the black and white ozone, also doing well in this race right now. And Jan Stragiotti in amongst the front few as well. So Stragiotti proving that those performances from earlier in the day are no fluke. Stragiotti is absolutely on fire today.
Yes, amazing. He's keeping himself always on the top 3, 4. And he has really quite good pace on the downwind as well. He's going deep as well. He might round the leeward mark in second place, most probably.
And not far off the bottom of the course now with Maramonides doing 35 knots of boat speed towards the bottom of the course. We saw Martin Dolence hit a peak speed of 39.7 knots earlier, and Dolence also going quickly, doing about 37 knots of speed. Dolence consistently one of the fastest downwind, but it's Maramonides that's still leading just ahead of Max Mader. So Max Mader is always in the hunt. He's still one of the ones setting the standards, but it's great to see other lesser known names like Maramonides and Jan Stragiotti also doing well at the front of the fleet. And we're starting to see some of the newer riders really challenging the established riders. Max Mader going into attack, but also going into his tack. It's Maramonides, so putting a close cover on Max Mader, the Greek rider, keen to keep Mader, the Singaporean, behind him. And we've got the Element kite, the black Element kite of Maramonides, just ahead of the fly surfer kite of Mader. And this is a battle of technical and technique. There's different equipment and different techniques, and a very close race between Greece and Singapore right now, with Switzerland chasing. Stragiotti doing consistently well. He's been in the top 2 of the previous 2 races and currently in 3rd place in this race.
It's really important. From those images you can see how stiff they are, all the new kite. The wind is gusty and it changed direction, so it's not easy to keep the right angle in the kite because the wind is shifting, quite important shift, I must say, for sure between 5 and 10 degrees most of the time. And you can see how stiff they are. This is why they are keeping really low the kite and go super fast upwind. For sure faster than the old one, the old kite, I mean.
And I guess some of these riders have known about these developments for quite some time, but they just haven't had a chance to use them in the heat of competition, and now is that opportunity. And perhaps with the new equipment, we're seeing slight shifts in the pecking order. We're seeing other riders coming up to the fore because they've got new equipment that maybe they're more used to, or maybe suits their natural riding style a little bit better. Certainly Marimonides must be learning to love this element kite right now, because it's propelling him into the lead of race 8, just ahead of Max Mader, and not far back Jan Stragiotti of Switzerland also in the hunt.
Yeah, which is really interesting. You remember last year when you have behind you Max Mader, he would not stay behind you for quite a long. For the entire downwind and the second upwind leg, he keep control into the Max Mader.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
Really good point. And we are now on the final leg towards the finish. Cameron Marimonides of Greece still leading this race. Max Mader pushing hard all the way to the finish. Will Marimonides be able to hold on for the win? Yes, he does. That's his first win of the competition, and an important psychological boost for the Greek to come in ahead of Max Mader of Singapore. What a performance. And we are seeing this new element kite being able to hold its own against the fly surfer. So it's a victory for the rider and a victory for element kites.
Yes, exactly. And he must be really happy, because being in the top of the fleet, leading the whole race from the first rounding mark on the upwind all the way downwind and all the way upwind on the second leg, with behind you Max Mader, multiple world champion and bronze medal, is the value is double.
It's very, very good indeed. And in third place, well, he continues to impress us. It's the young Swiss rider Jan Stragiotti ahead of Francis Benoit Gomez, and Riccardo Pianozzi got out there on his element kite. He was 5th ahead of Axel Marzella in 6th. Martin Dolence, very fast downwind, finishing 7th ahead of Lorenzo Boschetti of Italy, Conor Bainbridge of Great Britain, just inside the top 10, as is Wojtek Koska. And I'll see if I can identify who was the top finishing woman in that race. I think it might have been Elena Lengvila. Maya Ashkenazi doing very well today, but I think it was Elena Lengvila ahead of Maggie Pichetto, and then Maya Ashkenazi, Tiana Laporte, and Gal Zuckerman a little way back. And not sure what's up with Jessie Campman. Her scores are not quite showing up where I would expect her to be. We'll go to a quick ad now. Back to you shortly. Cameron, congratulations. You just won that race. That was a big push at the end. I just heard you say. How hard was it to keep Max Mader behind you?
Man, I mean, you know, the legend of Mader, you know. yeah, super skilled guy, super smart guy. If you're in front, you know he's gonna play some tricks to try and get you to do some other things, and you just gotta kind of keep your head out of from where you are and just yeah, go fast.
So give me an example. What was Max doing to try and throw you off your game?
So I was just covering Max. Like once we rounded the bottom, I saw him try and blow through the bottom of me, so I was just trying to cover him, and then just matching him. You know, you're in front, just keep with him. And then yeah, once we were approaching the top lay line, he tried to do a little cheeky fake tack, and I almost fell for it, and I saw him kind of hesitate and put it back down. So then I dropped the kite again, and yeah, luckily, yeah, it was a tough one. I'm out of breath.
Also pretty hard, isn't it? But
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm interested in here. You're using one of the new Element kites.
Yep.
How much is that helping with the performance? What's your feedback on that kite so far?
I mean, I've actually been fortunate enough to try, and sponsors have already paid for new quivers for me of the new gear and everything. So I've been fortunate enough. I have every model, and I think I talked to you earlier this week about, you know, just kind of using this event to try everything, see what works best. I really love the feeling of the Element just because super stable. Probably one of the more stable kites I've flown, and yeah, just like, I mean, I'm a big fan of the Element as of now. I was out on the BMG 15 yesterday. It's a great kite, don't get me wrong, but it's missing, I think, that little power and that little cut-up wind that the Element gives you. So yeah, I'm just super interesting watching. You know, we had a fleet full of green and gray kites, and now you come out here and it's like it's beautiful. It's really nice to watch and really nice to see, and yeah, I'm super stoked with the way the sport is going and with the new equipment. So yeah.
And now you've done it once. How much confidence does that give you that you can go and do it again? You can win another race out there this afternoon.
I mean, you know, the way that the sport is now, everybody is super talented. You know, anybody can win a race. So yeah, I mean, if you do it once, you can do it again. I don't see why not. But yeah, it's anybody can do it as well. Not anybody, but
more and more.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Max would have had you for breakfast a few months ago, but he didn't that time, did he?
No, not that time, not that time. Thankfully.
Cameron, well done. Great to
Cheers,
see.
boss. Yeah,
Good
yeah,
luck this
thank you.
afternoon.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm just going to see if I can. Max, are you okay to talk now, or are you busy? Let's see if we can get Max.
Yes.
Max, very good performance there. You're probably, I don't know if you were the most consistent, maybe Jan Stragiotti.
I think Jan. Jan, yeah, for sure, Jan.
You had some good battles with Jan in the first two races, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I very much did. It was outstandingly fun.
And in that last one, you were pushing Cameron hard. Let's just turn you around to the camera a little. Not that we can see your face anyway, it makes no difference. But you were playing a little chess game on Cameron, it seems. Some dummy tacks, just using your pawns in the game to try and take his queen, but you didn't quite manage it.
No, he stayed calm, and I think I had nothing else to do. And I thought I tried, but he didn't fall for it.
No, he sailed well, and we're seeing a range of riders and a range of different kites and foils doing well out there. Must be a pretty exciting phase of the 4-year cycle.
Oh, absolutely. It was very interesting, and I don't know if you caught my crash in the second race.
We wondered if that was you. We thought it can't be the great Max Mader. What happened there?
I was flying in the air. I don't know for how high and for how long, but it was quite
just for
high.
fun.
No, it was a pretty nasty touchdown, and then somehow my lines got under the board that I was riding, and I you know, that I didn't want to cut anything, so I sacrificed my riding so that my lines would get out of the board, and then I flew up in the air. And then actually, I just found out now, I've been riding with a broken line on the second race.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And does that give you any sense of, I mean, did you have any sense of that at all when you were out there just then?
It did feel a little bit weird. I was wondering, oh, careful. It did feel a little bit weird. I was wondering why I didn't have the same amount of performance as I did in race 1 and 2, but broken line, that explains it.
Right, and so how quickly can you get that sorted?
Hopefully before the racing starts, yeah.
Right, well, I should probably let you get on and do that then. It's very kind of you to take time out to speak to us. Max, all the best this afternoon.
Thank you
Keep
very
it
much.
interesting for us, won't you?
Yeah, let's see how it goes.
All right, cheers, thank you.
Cheers.
I'm a bit surprised, but I think the work paid, and yeah, surprised to ride the whole time in front with the pack. Feels quite nice. Yeah, new.
So they've been racing in the Olympic Games, most of the people that you were out there at the front of the fleet with. What have you been up to during the summer?
Mostly we helped Elena, the Swiss girl, for the games to prepare. And then, yeah, we had a bit of a break, and yeah, had some summer sessions in Svaplan at my home spot, which was as well quite nice, but not really fully training, but more training in the gym than on the water, I would say.
And you've got a lot bigger, you've grown a lot bigger. How old are you now?
I turned this September 17, so yeah, 17 now.
So you're a year behind Max Mader, he's just turned 18. But you're trading.
Yeah. We have at the same date birthday.
Oh, right.
We both have at the 12th September.
Right, exactly a year younger. But you're looking just as fast as Max Mader out there right now.
Oof, hard to say. He's super fast. But I think his kite was as well a bit. The tip was broken, so he had a bit collapsy kite because in the gusty conditions it's not optimal if the profile is not perfect.
So you won a race just now. How much do you feel that you can go out and win more races this afternoon?
Yeah, 3 more races. I try to do everything in every 3 races, so hope to win again one.
Have you tried any port tack starts so far?
No.
Not for you. Not for you.
Not yet. I didn't saw the opportunity yet.
Jan, keep on surprising us. After a while, we're not going to be surprised anymore. We're going to start to expect it. But great performance.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Andy.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Axel Mazzella, those first 3 races, how did it go for you?
We went for the first race was a bit light, and then the wind's picking up race after race. Now, I mean, it's pretty strong. We were pretty powered on the 15. Personally, I didn't do the right strategy on the race course. I've been left when we have to go right. I went right and it was not working, so I crashed on the tack as well. But anyway, it was fun, and now the wind is picking up again, and I think we're gonna go on 11.
Right, so you're giving all your kites a pretty good run this week so far then?
Yeah, honestly, we are pretty happy about the performance of the R1 V5 and our Shubanga as well. Especially in this super tricky condition when it's super gusty and strong with the hull, with the shift, everything. The kite is still stable in the air, so yeah, we're happy.
Yeah, Mirko, who's commentating with me, is really noticed just how much more stable those kites look as they go through the air. How have the designers managed to achieve that? What's changed?
We've done different strategy during the development compared to the other brand, and we try to keep our kite as stable as possible, easy to use, while it's still high performance and you have to push really hard on it to go fast. So that's maybe why in this tricky condition our kite looks stable. I've seen some tricky move on the kite sometimes. But ours was okay, was good, yeah.
So you may not be holding on to the yellow bib as things stand, but what can you do to rectify that this afternoon? Have you got some race wins in you this afternoon?
I think I have to open more my eyes and look around me what's happening, because I was too much focused on the same strategy at the first day. So I have to open my mind, look around me, and check if the right is working. I'm gonna go on the right or on the left, but it really depends. I mean, sometimes it's right, and then you have to tag, go on left, and then go tag again and go on the right again. I mean, it's you really have to open your eyes every time.
And how difficult is it to open your eyes when you're using new equipment? When you're using new gear that you're not so used to, does that focus more of your attention on keeping the board and the kite going fast?
No, honestly, the gear, it's okay. It's more about yourself, because you are pushing 100% and you're giving the maximum of yourself, and at the same time you also have to put your head up, look around you, what's happening with the other competitors. So it's hard to give 100% of yourself and at the same time look around. So it's a bit like you have to push, look around, and sometimes I'm just too focused on pushing.
Yeah, well, Axel, I know you'll get your act together this afternoon. All the best. Have a great second session.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Sam Dickinson, that looked like interesting racing. Unfortunately, one of those didn't count for you. It was a UFD for starting a little bit too soon. Talk us through that start. Were you starting on starboard or port?
on port. So I think me, Yannis, and Flo were trying to start on port, and they were underneath me. So I wanted to push forwards a bit, make sure I actually made the line, make sure they didn't pinch me out. And yeah, I think I was probably half a couple of meters early, probably. Which, when you're going quick, it's quite hard to judge. But yeah, it didn't really need to be that close because there was quite a bit of pin end bias. And it was a decent race in the end, yeah. But yeah, a bit of a shame, but all practice.
How much of a sense did you have that you might have been over as you crossed the line?
I thought I was probably like half a second early at most. And sometimes, if it's a bit on the edge, you get away with it. And this time not, so yeah. Went for it and doesn't matter, practice.
If you go a little bit too late, it's also a high tariff maneuver in that you could end up causing a massive tangle with some of the starboard tackers. I mean, how much are you put off from doing it again? Or this is maybe the opportunity to do it, an event like this early in the Olympic cycle? How much are you going to keep on testing the limits of the port tack start?
Yeah, lots, I think. I mean, all three of my starts, I think, today were port tack. The first one I tacked underneath. Second one went over the top, but I was early, and third one ducked everyone. Yeah, I think it's just another option if you want to get out to the right side and don't want to get pinned out. Then it's a good option if there's some pin end bias like there was today. I think Yannis utilises it a lot, and it works for him a lot.
And Benoit Gomez, we see Benoit.
Benoit prefers to go behind, I think. Yannis always sends it in front somehow. And I think he went for that cup. I think the last one actually was pretty close. He went in front, the rest of us went behind, and I think he met a bunch in the middle and had to slam a bit of attack in.
Right.
But no tangles, I think, so yeah, all good.
What gear are you using out there? Have you got anything new on your equipment?
Not yet, no. Just hanging with all the old stuff, which actually downwind isn't too bad, upwind it's a bit tricky. New kite's got a bit of a higher, faster mode. But yeah, it's good fun. Yeah.
And what about the foil underneath you? What are you using?
Still my old Trabanger from pretty much when I started kiting 3 years ago, which is certainly, it's loved, but it's getting a bit too used. So yeah, looking forward to getting some new kit.
Right. And what are you hoping to get out of this afternoon? You've got 3 more races to go.
Yeah, really just go full out on the starts. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, for us at least, this event doesn't matter. I think most people it doesn't matter. So yeah, trying to go aggressive with the starts. Yeah, no, I saw. And we won the Louis Vuitton Cup this morning, so that adds to it.
Yeah, as you were just told by Lorenzo, one of the Italians, and we're right in Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli town here, aren't we? This is where they've been training, but there's going to be some sad faces around Cagliari this evening because we've just heard that Great Britain has qualified to go up against New Zealand in the America's Cup.
Yeah, no, I think that'll be a cool matchup, and women starting in a few days as well. Yeah, no, it's good. Yeah.
Yeah, and so some of your kiting mates in amongst that America's Cup team, Ellie Aldridge, part of the Women's America's Cup set up for Great Britain. So nice to see some of the kiters getting picked up in the America's Cup scene as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the youths as well. Who knows? Maybe I'll have a look at it for the 2028 if it comes up.
You might give it a bit of your time. You know,
Maybe.
I know your time is valuable.
We'll see how the kiting goes, but yeah, certainly not a bad option.
Yeah. Well, Sam, great to see those starts, even if they don't always work out perfectly. Keep up the good work, and I know you'll get your eye in. So yeah, go and nail some port tack starts for us.
Perfect. Nice. Cheers.
Cheers. See you later. Want to remove AP is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, I am going to tell
you're
everyone,
going to do
but we're fine. All right, everyone. Enough of a break. You remove AP shortly at 15:45. 20 minutes to the warning then. So 22, 25 knots I'm hearing on the starboard. So
I didn't hear it 100%. I think
and
both microphones. He needs to have both microphones.
He needs to have second session. AP will remove shortly.
Okay, Marcus, thank you very much. So what are you expecting wind-wise this afternoon? Pretty much continuation?
Well, we have 22, 25 knots on the starboard, so it's going to be spicy. Time for small kites. And yeah, I mean, now it's beautiful. Sun is shining, blue sky. That's how Sardinia is.
And these guys are getting a full use of the full range of their kites, even just in the course of today. We've seen some go out on the biggest and they could end up on the smallest in their quiver by the look of it.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of the KiteFoil World Series, that you use whatever it is and you race in whatever the conditions are. Yesterday it was not safe to race, so we didn't do it, but today it's a great day.
Great. Marcus, thanks very much. Look forward to 3 more races very shortly. So we're just a few minutes before the riders go out again. Maggie Pichetto, what kite size are you going to go for this afternoon?
It's looking quite strong, at least stronger than before, so I might be taking my 11. Yeah.
And how much have you used the 11? Is it a new 11 to you, one of the new designs?
No. I'm still stuck on the old kites now at the moment, which is quite hard. It's not too competitive. In fact, right now I was racing on my 15, and you know their new kites have a wider range, so I was flying away, and all of the other girls were just chilling on their 15. I think the newer kites just have a wider range, so they don't pull you as much. So yeah, I think I'm gonna for sure go on a smaller kite now.
Right, and being beaten by the newer generation of kites, I know it's quite a big investment of money, but when you're being beaten by the new gear, I guess that's sort of leaning you a little bit more towards making some purchases.
Yeah, I have to say it's really frustrating because I was like, fighting for my life not to fall away. Every tack I made, I was just flying everywhere, and I just see the other people so relaxed. So obviously it's frustrating because, you want to be as competitive as them. Also, the upwind angle is just, today we have a course which we only have one downwind leg, and the upwind of these new kites is just impressive, like the angle and the speed it allows you to do. So I have a slight disadvantage also on this because it's 2 upwind legs and 1 downwind leg. So it's terrible because I lose on the first upwind leg. I gain advantage on the second downwind, but then I lose it on the. So it's chasing mice. It's terrible.
Chasing mice, yeah, and limiting the damage. There's only so much you can do.
Yeah.
So how do you set your objectives for the 3 races this afternoon?
Well, for sure, I'm a lot more happier that the wind picked up because I think when the smaller the kite is, the less important it is. I think what you're riding. I mean, it's important what you're riding is stable and not giving you any problems. But still, I think like the smaller kite the size, the less the gap between the newer and the old one. I think at least that's what I've noticed at the moment. Like last week, we've been racing at the Italian Championship, and we had like good 25 to 30 knots, and I was racing still against newer kites, and the difference wasn't as big as when we were riding bigger kites. So
oh well, may the breeze blow strongly for you this afternoon, and then you don't have to worry so much about that. Maybe
please start blowing, so then there's more wind for us.
Maggie, I hope it goes super well this afternoon, and go as fast as you can on your smaller kite. See you later.
It's not working now.
And here we are. Ready for race 9.
Yes, are we? I don't know if we're on, but let's assume that we are. So, yeah, I've just been speaking to some of the riders, Mirko, and it looks like they're changing down to the 11 kites, so they're going to go on smaller kites. Maggie Pichetto feeling very disadvantaged using some of the older equipment. She just says that the new gear upwind is higher and faster, like you were saying about looking more stable. And that's the feedback we're getting from the riders still trying to live with the older equipment, is that the new gear is very hard to compete against on the upwinds. Downwinds, not such a big difference, but Maggie was saying that as the kites get smaller, the difference is between the gear doesn't seem to matter as much as you go up the wind range and go into the smaller kite sizes.
Yeah, I mean, it make completely sense. You can imagine that the old gear that has been used just 2 months ago at the Olympics has been designed almost 5 years ago, and so a lot of improvement from the sail designer has been collected over the last 4 years at least, and they start to design all the new kite with all the information that they get all over the quad, and it makes completely sense. This is why we can see the new kite more stable, a little bit flatter, different shape, and obvious in terms of speed. We were looking 27, almost close to 28 on the way upwind, and close to 40, 39.2 from Chinese mouse on the downwind. I mean, it's quite an insane number if we think that is one person, one board, 2 legs, 1 kite.
It is. It's such a simple setup, isn't it? I mean, it's so beautifully simple in terms of what it requires for a human to go at that speed across the water. It is an absolutely beautifully simple and possibly the most efficient part of the whole sport of sailing.
Yes, absolutely. If we keep in a side Sail GP or the actual America's Cup, there isn't any boat that they can match this performance, and for sure is the fastest performance within the Olympic classes.
You're resident in Cagliari. This has been the training base for Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli, and that's a team that you're very close to. How disappointed are you to see the Italians exit the Louis Vuitton Cup? I have to say, I thought they were the favourites going in to this event a month ago, and I really thought it was going to be them against New Zealand in the America's Cup, but it's not worked out that way. How surprised and disappointed are you?
Yeah, you know, I have the 2 different feelings. Obvious is the Italian team. I've been working over there. I spent a lot of time with them. I was cheering Luna Rossa, hoping that Luna Rossa win the Louis Vuitton Cup and go against the Kiwi. From the really beginning, it was clear that Luna Rossa start racing in Barcelona really well prepared and with a really good setup, good package, let's say, from the real beginning. Super stable, super smooth, really great number in terms of performance. And what really surprised me is the improvement that the others did, mainly over the final, semi-final and final. And Ineos, I mean, they deserve it. This is sport. There is always someone that win and someone that got second. In the America's Cup, there is no second. We understand. So they deserve it. I mean, they clearly race better, but in my heart, I'm still disappointed that Luna Rossa didn't go through the Louis Vuitton and do the regatta against the Kiwi. Would have been really interesting to see another match against them. But you have to remember that also Cagliari has been also the the training for Ineos as well on the previous one. They spent here during the COVID period when we supposed to have the series, the America's Cup series in Cagliari on the 2020. Ineos spent here a couple of months for training, and when we set up at the base also just in front of Luna Rossa. So again, both of them, they went in Cagliari. So
So there's a Cagliari connection either way.
exactly,
Yes.
in one way or the other, there is a Cagliari collection.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we see Britain and Italy doing very well on this circuit, on the kite foiling circuit. New Zealand, they're sort of a second string nation in kite foiling. We've got some pretty good kite foilers, but not fighting for medals the way that we have seen with the Italians and the British. But it's interesting to see foiling across all levels of the sport, and also, as I was just discussing with Sam Dickinson, some of the foilers from this world, like Ellie Aldridge, now competing in the AC40s in the women's America's Cup, and there's also some foilers in some kite foilers in the Youth America's Cup. So nice to see that crossover from kite foiling into the America's Cup as well.
Yeah, I guess that a lot of coaches or sport director from different team, they know and they recognize that the skills that they have, those athletes, those competitors, mainly in kite foil, they're really used to go fast, and they have the ability to feel the difference in terms of fine tuning and so on, also in boat, and this is why they try to take them directly on a sailing team, which is really important also to keep the connection between kite foiler, which is a board, and a yacht, which is an America's Cup
and
thing. So it's important.
Hamish Wilcox, a Kiwi coach that has been working with Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli in the America's Cup. I'm sure you know Hamish very well. I know Hamish very well, and he just helped the Spanish win the 49er gold medal at the recent Olympic Games, as well as working with Burling and Chuk. He has a theory. He's really into his wing foiling, as I know you are. He's got this theory that the longer you spend in big gear, like an AC75 or a big keel boat, the more you lose your touch, the more you lose that sort of mind and body connection with making a sail-powered vessel go fast. So he always feels that whatever you're doing, if it's America's Cup, you've still got to get back into your international moth or onto your wing foil or onto your kite foil. You've got to re-engage the mind and body with the small gear, because that's what keeps you sharp. And Jimmy Spithill, Francesco Bruni, the two helmsmen on Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli, they're really into all forms of being a waterman, aren't they? They're into their surfing, their foiling at all levels, including wing foiling and probably even kite foiling as well.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the connection that you can bring from a small boat like moth or kite or wing foil or windsurfing to a big boat is really, you can really feel it. And everyone, like you said, Jimmy or Keko is used to fly with his moth all around the bay here in Poeto. And Jimmy spend all summer when you have time winging everywhere. I mean, all south of Sardinia. I mean, mainly in Cagliari, but you can see in Villasimius himself or in Chia or whatever. And when there is wave, even more. So the connection between your body, single, alone, with any form of sailing board, it gives you the feeling of the wind on the water, on the current, on different things that then you can take that and bring it to the big boat. For sure, it's way difficult the way around. And it's something that I prove also with myself. I mean, I've been windsurfer since I was 10 years old. And when I start also to spend some time on the big boat, on sailing boat. When I start just first time, the feeling that you had steering a big boat with a crew, you feel the glide, you feel the angle, you feel the wind completely in a different way than the other one that just learned from the big boat directly. Because I don't know why exactly, but it's
because the feedback is so much more direct, I suppose. Because the bigger the vessel, the more everything is damped down, and you're a small cog in a big system. When you're a human on a board that's only 1.5 meters long, using a kite that wraps up into a pretty small bundle and only weighs probably just a kilo or so. Your body is a big part of the overall package, isn't it? So you have to be really sensitive to your body movement, to your feet movement, sensitive to every change of gust in the wind. And we're seeing how difficult it is to get these boards and these kites off the beach in these offshore conditions. Launching or going out of a marina in a big boat, well, that's easy.
Yes, exactly. But you said one word which I really like it, sensitive. Is something that being sensitive, you start to understand how to be sensitive when you are yourself alone in the middle of the sea with a board, with a foil, with a kite or a sail or wing. Doesn't really matter, but it's something that it gives you the opportunity to understand a single degree of change, one half a knot of wind difference, and so on and so on, which then you start to understand by the feeling that you learn, and you can transfer to a big boat because you feel it. It's really important, and this is why bigger team, important team. You mentioned the AC40, and the next week they will start the AC40 with the for women as well, like they did the youngest. They are all coming from small boat alone, and we had an example. The Luna Rossa, they win the young, and Gradoni is coming from Optimist.
Yeah,
and also is a really good surfer. I mean, he learned a lot.
He's only 20 years old, and we won't know in this America's Cup how they might have done if it had been Marco Gradoni, the 3-time Optimist world champion, and Ruggero Tita, the 2-time Olympic champion in the NACRA 17 foiling catamaran. We briefly saw them in the AC40 do a fantastic job in Jeddah in Saudi Arabia at the end of last year, but we didn't get to see what they would have been able to do compared with the older boys, Jimmy Spithill and Keko Bruni, who were the helmsmen of Luna Rossa. How do you think they would have done if we'd have put them in the AC75?
Difficult to say. I really support the challenge to keep the youngest always on the front row, because this kind of sport, like we are seeing here, 17, 16 is younger, 20 still younger, but you can see how different they can perform compared to 30, which is still younger as well, but there is a lot of difference. So I guess they would not be worse for sure. I would not say they could have been managed better. But
they don't have the match racing background, do they? The match racing in the pre-start, we've seen how important that build up in the pre-start is, and there were, I don't know, almost no overtakes during this Louis Vuitton Cup final. It always seemed like it was really close, and it was, but actually what you achieved off the start and who won the first cross generally determined the outcome of the race, and maybe that's where the experience of Spithill and Bruni trumps the youthful exuberance of Tita and Gradoni. What do you think?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the exuberance, like you said, it would have been also okay for the youngest because they can be brave, maybe too much. For sure, the vision about the tactics on the pre-start, the experience that Jimmy and Keko has that almost no one they have it, and both of them they have it, because also in other team, in Ineos example, Ben for sure has 10 times experience than Fletcher and then Dylan. and then on America Magic as well. Only one has more experience than the other, but Slingsby doesn't have really a lot of experience on match racing, mainly on fastest boat in terms of performance on the speed, and we saw that the speed was quite okay. And but you're right. I mean, for sure the experience that they had Keiko together with Jimmy, it was the right choice to have them for this kind of reason, 100%.
Talking about, well, we just got over 7 minutes to start, and that's why we're talking about America's Cup. We've still got time before we get into the next start. I think what you say about Ainsley and Fletcher is interesting. Having the old experience and the new guy coming through, that's bringing new ideas and and new approaches to the America's Cup. I thought that Ineos Britannia, that partnership looked a little bit shaky in the early days, and they were making some pretty bad errors off the start line, breaking the start line too early, picking up penalties that they didn't need to. But actually, that's become one of the key elements of success for Ineos Britannia is how that relationship between Ainsley, the old boy, and Dylan Fletcher has developed. Is that how you've seen it?
Yes, exactly. I see exactly the same, but I would extend what I see. I see the full package of Ineos from the beginning was communication. They've been saying every time after their race, they work a lot in terms of communication, how to communicate, how interact, and how to synchronize maneuver, and which at the really beginning was not easy at all between them. So for sure they align themselves to have a proper communication and to make it work. And on the other side, what they have been working a lot, it was to keep one eye on the fine tuning of the boat. I mean, at the beginning, it was not easy at all, and we saw the boat not steady, really going up and down, shaky, and pitching. It was not a good boat to see sailing because it was everything than perfect. But they really work a lot on fine tuning every single pieces that they had, and to flying really low bow, and working on terms of communication between Benz and Dylan. Because Ben is quite heavy when he's speaking in the boat and make the call, so you have really to follow and to be ready to respond. And I guess that they find really the right way to make the right communication, and it pay off at the end so far.
Yeah. Well, we've now down to 1 minute 30 to the start of the next race. We'll have a quick break. Back to you shortly. Okay. 20 seconds to the start of race 9. This is the first of our final 3 races for the afternoon. This is about trying to get into the medal series for tomorrow, to get into the top 10 for the medal series on the final day of KiteFoil World Series Sardinia. The breeze is up. They're on their 11 square meter kites. Most of the fleet going for a Sabotac start, but a few brave soldiers going for port tack, and we see that it's a clear start. So Sam Dickinson, UFD disqualified. He's not this time. Everyone is clear on the racetrack, and Mirko, it's looking absolutely beautiful. You must be super proud to see Poeto Beach looking like this right now.
Exactly what we were just waiting since this morning. The blue sky, the perfect mistral wind, the right breeze, and to have all the rider aligned, crossing the starting line in this way with an 11-meter kite. I mean, it's just beautiful.
And so now we're using a different size of kite compared with the earlier session earlier in the afternoon. They've changed down from their 19s, their 15s, whatever they were using earlier. Most of the fleet now on 11. You can see how fast they're going. Bit of a splashdown for somebody there in the middle of the picture. Someone has been held up there. Didn't quite work out. Looks like one of the blue fly surfer kites. So I'm wildly speculating. I wondered if it was Martin Dolence, but Martin Dolence is going fine, so it's not him. But someone had a bit of a splashdown then. But Maramonides is doing very well in the early days. Cameron Maramonides from Greece won the last race of the early session, and we had 3 different race winners earlier in the day, because we also saw, as we would expect from Max Mader, some very good performances there, but also extremely good by the young Swiss rider Jan Stragiotti. And there's Max Mader just going into his tack, and someone with a purple ozone. Well, we've got to work out who's on a purple ozone now. So we've seeing a few different kite changes out there now, but Max Mader doing very well.
How beautiful it is. I was saying just finally we can see a lot of color within the fleet, but still not easy to recognize all of them because they have not all the same color within the range of kite. So when they change size, they change also color, most of them, which is a challenge for us.
It is, but it's a nicer challenge to have than having identikit kites as we've had the last couple of years.
Agree.
It is so much more beautiful to have a range of kite colors. And Axel Mazzella was telling me yesterday that you can go onto the Ozone website and you can specify any color that you want, and you can customize your kites any which way you want. Connor Bainbridge, the other rider out here who's helping develop the Ozone kite, says he wants pink kites, but he was told that he was going to have to buy a reel of pink material all by himself, and he didn't feel that he could justify that.
Cameron.
Wow.
And then I guess that Bainbridge is the one with the pink ozone.
Oh, splashdown for Cameron Maramonides. How expensive was that going to be?
And Axel just close by.
Axel Mazzella waiting to pounce on that small mistake by Maramonides, but Maramonides has got some raw speed out here. Maramonides round in first, closely followed by Axel Mazzella. So Maramonides, like Jan Stragiotti, again proving that the race win earlier was no accident. It was no happy fluke or coincidence. But it looks like Mazzella has got a little bit more depth downwind. He's managed to get down the inside of Cameron Maramonides, who we see jibing there onto port. But he's given up the lead to Axel Mazzella, who's now moved ahead. And I spoke to Axel just now on the beach, and he was beating himself up a bit for having a bit of a poor strategy to the first 3 races, not looking over his shoulder enough, not looking around at what the breeze was doing, and trying to make the day 1 tactics work well for day 3. And it's a different day, so it wasn't working. But this time it looks like Mazzella has worked out what he needs to do. He's got his bit between the teeth, and he is absolutely flying downwind.
Yes, as we know, I mean, from previous year, Axel on the downwind has been always one something that he worked out pretty well compared to the other. Is super deep. Always he has his position straight forward, and he keep the angle really, really deep compared to the other. and is still fast.
Going very fast, and that's what he has emphasized with the new kite design, is that they're trying to hang on to how fast the Ozone has always been on the downwind, but trying to improve the upwind performance. And well, if you can achieve both, that's great, because as they say, everything is a compromise. You can't have the best of everything with your kite design. It's got to get you around the race course, upwind and downwind, and crosswind on the reaches as well. But at the moment, so far, so good for Axel Mazzella, who sweeps round the bottom mark, still in the lead.
Yes, exactly. Following by another one that it goes always really, really well on the downwind is Benoit Gomez. And then they are the second, the third, and the fourth, and the fifth, all in a really 5 meter between them.
So Benoit Gomez going well generally today, always up in the front few. So very nice for him to see his element kites doing so well. But at the moment, this is a battle between the Ozone of Axel Mazzella and the element kite of Cameron Maramonides.
And in really good place for Wojciechowska, which now is sitting in third. I mean, it was four, but then Connor decided to tack to go on the right side of the course.
Well, that's a great performance for Wojciechowska. Really good to see. Again, a little bit of a change in the usual pecking order. So the Czech rider sitting in 11th place. So just on the cusp of getting into the medal series. There is also, we'll explain this in more detail as we get closer towards the medal series tomorrow, but there is also the golden ticket race, which kicks off the final day tomorrow on Saturday. And a little bit difficult to explain right now, but the golden ticket gives everybody the opportunity still to break into the medal series for tomorrow, but it's the toughest way to get in there. So in the middle of your picture with that black and white 11 square meter Ozone kite and wearing the yellow bib for being the leader going into today, that's the Frenchman Axel Mazzella, looking high and fast. And have you managed to identify who that purpley Ozone is just going out
I
of
think
picture?
it's Connor.
That sounds correct. If Connor can't have pink, then he's going to choose purple instead.
Yeah, because it's just leeward to Axel.
And that's Max Mader in the middle of screen in the blue. So Max Mader always in the hunt, but Max Mader not running away with races like we're so used to seeing Max do in the previous cycle. So it does really seem like this new equipment that's coming out is really leveling up the playing field.
Yeah, I must say that Axel on the next back-to-back races, he want to get the leader beep again, because over the last 3 races that we had previously, he's no more on the leading. He's no more on the lead, so for sure he want to keep his first position. But Benoit also and Connor are pretty close.
It's very close indeed. Now, Max Mader just a few weeks ago in Austria was absolutely unstoppable, and that was also with the fleet using the new gear, and he was winning race after race after race. And Max Mader still very much up there and could end up coming out ahead at the end of the day, but he's not doing it by much, because here we have Axel Mazzella going around the top mark for the final time. Axel Mazzella now shooting towards the finish. It doesn't even look like he's pushing. Has he actually, not sure what's going on there. Has he actually finished and crossed the line already?
No, not yet.
He doesn't look like he's trying that hard.
No, he just crossed it now, the finish line.
Well, that was a very, very calm and collected and relaxed finish by Axel Mazzella, who wins race 9, just ahead of Connor Bainbridge and ahead of Wojciechowska. So very good performances by the 2 Ozone riders in race 9, getting a first and second for Mazzella and Bainbridge.
Yeah, and Benoit Gomez on 4th, Martin Dolenk and Maremenides, which was leading on the first rounding mark, he finished on 6th.
So a bit of a drop back by Maramonides, but still up there in amongst the front few.
And as we can see, every second there is one that is crossing the finish line. So that means really it's just about...
It's super close, isn't it?
Yeah.
We will go to a quick break. We'll be back to you shortly. So our top speed in that race-
37.6 we had. So did you see the wind is a little bit more than before, but smaller kite, and they can't, probably because it's getting unstable, less stable to flying with the board, and they have to slow down, and so the speed is a little bit less with a smaller kite.
Yes, so not quite hitting the 39.2 that Martin Dolence reached earlier in the day, but still not far off it. 37.5 knots, not too shabby, but they're probably also pretty quick upwind. I'm thinking with these 11 square meters going upwind, they must be a little bit quicker, do you think, Mirko?
Yeah, on the upwind we saw most of them, at least the top 10, between 26 and 27.5 knots on the upwind leg. We can see Lorenz is coming close to the beach to change his kite, probably. I guess he's not really happy about performance, but he's keep changing and fine-tuning, which is the job that he has to do, because he's not on the top 10, so the best way to fine-tuning your kite when you are not in the top 10 is to keep think.
So that's Lorenzo Boschetti moving things around, experimenting with different ideas. Let's go to another quick break. We'll be back to you shortly. Now, we got 11 minutes to the start of the next race. Miko, we saw Axel cruising across the line, not really putting much effort in on the final reach to the finish. What was going on there? It was just didn't need to take any risks?
No, he saw that over the last, when he was approaching the last rounding mark on the windward mark and the last 300 meter, he figured out that he had enough lead not to push too much. And I think he realized that it's going to be really important to score the bullet and to have the first, because he lose a couple of points on the previous race. So for him, just play safe, stay in front. And I mean, he has a lot of experience that he know how to slow down just enough to keep the lead.
Yeah, well, he certainly did it very well. I got confused watching the finish of race 2 the other day. That was on day 1 of the competition, and I was out there on the boat right next to the finish line, and Max Mader was in a really close battle with Axel Mazzella and Martin Dolence coming up fast behind them in third, and they were just cruising across the line. Martin, when he got into the back of the other two, put his kite in the air, and they came across at half speed. And I was wondering, what's going on here? Why would you not race as hard as you can all the way to the finish? This is Maggie Pachetto, by the way, who we see in picture, just to give you a bit of context there. But I asked Max, who was kind enough to come round to the boat and explain to me what was going on. And it had been such a wacky race with the breeze shifting all over the place and big holes in the wind. He thought the front three were so far ahead that if we cross the finish line now and we start the timer counting on the rest of the fleet, some of them might get timed out and not get a finish because they don't finish in time. So Max deliberately held up the race, slowed down as much as possible to keep the time window open as long as possible, in order to allow as many people as possible to still get a legitimate finish, which I thought was an act of great sportsmanship. And he said, actually, it wasn't my idea. I just did the Italian Championships the week before, and we got all kinds of range of abilities and people that can barely get the kite around the track. And it was Riccardo Pianozzi, actually, who said, let's slow it down and let's go across the line as slowly as we can. So he'd already learned this trick at the Italian Championships from Ricky Pianozzi the previous week. But what a great act of sportsmanship, because if I had that opportunity, Mirko, I want to kill the opposition. I want to cross the line as quick as possible and give everybody else that did not finish. But maybe that's just because I'm not as nice as Max Mader.
No, it make completely sense to do this this action. And when you have control of everything, that means that you are racing and you can see all over the racing course, and you know that also the last one is making a lot of effort to cross the finish line. And if you can slow down, and doesn't make sense for your score to push and to gain this 30 seconds or 20 or whatever it's going to be, and you give an opportunity for 3 more to crossing the finish line within the time window, then why not? I mean, it's a really good things to do, but to do that, you really have to have in mind what's really happened. And I mean, that's 360-degree vision of all the entire course area, which is big applause to them.
It is. I mean, it must be so hard to take your eyes away from the front of your board and see where the next wave is coming from, and let alone looking around, see where the next gust or the lull is coming from. Not even to mention where the people at the back of the fleet might be who aren't even threatening you for the lead. That's a lot of vision.
Yes, exactly. But it's really good that, yes, you noticed here yesterday, but 2 days ago. But as you mentioned, during the Italian Championship, it was a discussion from a couple of new young comer coming to race on the Italian Championship. And, 11, 12, 13 years old. It's really bad when you see DNC on your scoring and have the chance that the leader help you to have, maybe you will be the last, but you have a number instead of letter, is already a big gain.
Yeah.
It's already a big gain, and it gives you the opportunity to see yourself on a different way and to keep improving, and really good things to do.
There's always been a nice vibe to this fleet, but inevitably, as we got closer towards the Olympic Games, the question was some of that vibe slipping away as the stakes got higher? Funnily enough, I had a conversation with Austria's Valentin Bontas about this some time back, and this was some time before we ever knew he was going to become Olympic champion. But let's hear what Valentin had to say about this whole topic of fair play and protests. The Olympic classes that I've worked in, by far the most fun are the Formula kites, and no one embodies this more than this guy, Valentin Bontas. Valentin, I hope you don't mind me saying, but you come across as the class clown sometimes. Is that fair to say?
That is absolutely fair to say. I'm happy to be making everybody laugh a little bit and kind of loosening everything up, because sometimes it gets very stressful and very strict around here, and then it's good to have somebody making a joke here and there. But then when it comes to being serious, I'm absolutely for it that you have to be on point with your performance.
I can see you getting more serious at times, but I also see that the whole fleet is getting more serious, and incidents that people used to let go, a touching of lines or a touching of kites, is now becoming an offence that some people are protesting. Do you think that the kiteboarding world can hold on to its innocence now that it's gone Olympic?
Well, I think, as you say, like touching lines and everything is a break of the rules, and I think we'll have to get into a stage where we have to separate the friendship kind of relationship to a professional racing relationship, because at one point, if it's for an Olympic medal, let's say, I'm not gonna just not protest you because you're my friend, right? We have to separate those two worlds for sure.
Well, Valentin, I hope you manage to keep that smile on your face and everybody else's. I do see it getting more serious, but if people can fight on the water and still be friends, I'm sure that would be a good thing, wouldn't it?
Absolutely. I think it's fair to say that everybody will be mature enough to separate those two worlds, and it's for sure going to be still a very good vibe around everybody, and professional and a proper way of living with everybody else.
Cool. Thanks, Valentin.
Thanks.
So, Mirko, we got 3 minutes 45 to go to the next one. We were just speculating, that was actually 2 years ago here on Pareto Beach, when we had the World Championships here. Was that right? It was the World Championship.
It was the World Championship 2 years ago. Yeah.
And at the time, Valentin was not considered a serious contender for an Olympic medal, let alone winning Olympic gold. I mean, he when he went to the 2023 Worlds in The Hague in the Netherlands just over a year ago, he was hoping just to qualify the nation to get a spot for Austria at the Games, and he had a jump out performance at the Worlds there where he managed to finish fourth. I remember the whole cafe, everyone in the cafe was cheering him on because they were all thinking, well, if Valentin can do it, maybe I can do it. And then a year later, he goes on and wins the Olympic gold, and that was certainly no fluke. He sailed an amazing series at the Games. But he's also part of the glue of this class. He's one of the guys that brings people together, and he's a big part of the social life and the great atmosphere. Yeah. Do you think that the class has managed to hold on to that sort of beach vibe, or have we lost a bit of that inevitably as we've become an Olympic class?
But no, I think that first of all, people like Valentin, they are really helpful for the entire community, because he's a person that he can really share his positive vibe with everyone. Honestly, it's really difficult to have a picture of Valentin serious. I mean, he can smile also with the eyes and not only with the mouth. He's really a positive person. He's really a great person for everyone. Said Valentin is the person to have a beer, or to have a Coke, or to have a coffee, or to have a pizza, or to sit just on the beach, or talking technically with about equipment and so on. So he's really a good person, and he take it from really a different point of view when he started to be involved on the Formula Kite. He was doing freestyle and so on, and I mean, he know very well how to be positive and keep smiling. Almost a minute to go.
Just enough time just to see some updated results. Let's see how things stand. Well, Max Mader, his consistency is paying off, but Axel Mazzella is bouncing back with that race win in the last race. He's into second place. Will he be able to get past Mader in the next two? We'll have to wait and see. Jan Stragiotti, standout performer of the day, up to third, and Benoit Gomez just a point behind in fourth. Conor Bainbridge getting a second there puts him in fifth place, and Cameron Maramonides in sixth. So there we have it. Wojciech Koska, his fourth place, just lifting him inside the top 10. So great performance for the Czech rider as well. 25 seconds to go. Here is the bulk of the fleet lining up on starboard. We've got absolutely champagne conditions here, or is it Prosecco conditions? I'm not sure what we have in Poeto Beach. But we have both, and Aperol and many other drinks are available. We've got 8 seconds to go. Watch the kites get into the acceleration zone. Here they go. We've got such a range of colours and brands here right now, and they are all going pretty darn quickly. There goes Benoit Gomez with his Element kite out the back of the fleet. Martin Dolenz also with the blue fly surfer choosing to start behind the fleet on port. So let's see how Dolenz and Gomez managed to do. And we've got an early tacker from starboard from the committee boat end with one of the older fly surfer kites, and it's a clear start. So so far so good for the whole fleet. Who's going to come out ahead on this first crucial windward leg of race 10?
Yes, as you spotted, Benoit and Yanis Maus and Alex Clement, the Spanish rider, they were the one on port on the right side of the course.
And yes, it's looking particularly good. Well, actually, for Leo Collado, that's not a name that we mention very often, but Leo Collado in these early stages doing very well out on the right-hand side.
Yes, just leeward to Yanis Maus and Benoit Gomez. Yeah, it's going to be interesting because it seems that they are not far away from the ley line, and the one that went to the left, they are a little bit faster, but looking on the tracking, it seems they are further away from the ley line. So the wind gust again, it will play the role over the last part of the course. So we can see the leading Ricardo and Karl Mader and Cameron Mareminides again. They are now on port. They all tack on port and they go approaching the windward mark.
Axel Mazzella in the middle of picture with the black and white ozone going super well. He was early to tack on to port and get out to the right hand side, but he did a conventional starboard tack start, and maybe that is the best compromise, but that's certainly a good way that he's picked his way up the ley line. Mazzella looking very strong, but so too again does Wojciechowska. Wojciechowska going really well in these early stages of race 10.
Yes, it seems that the right side pay a little bit better in terms of wind shift, and Axel Mazzella and Max Mader and Benoit Gomez, so we can spot the 3-color beep on starboard already approaching the windward mark.
And someone shot through with a red Element kite. I'm wondering, was that Cameron Mareminides? I'm trying to remember what kind of kite.
Pianozzi.
And Pianozzi,
Pianozzi
okay.
is the black one.
Right. So, look, and Connor Bainbridge also in the hunt there with the purple ozone. And was that Alex Ellen up there from Monaco? We haven't spoken much about Alex Ellen, but the Monegasque rider also up there in this race. But about to go round in the lead, just getting round. That is the red Element of, just trying to identify.
Cameron.
Is it Cameron?
It's Cameron and Alexander Ellen, and the purple ozone is definitely Connor.
Yes, correct. And so that's Cameron Mareminides on the right of picture with the red kite, Connor Bainbridge with the purple, and just back from them, the black and white kite of Axel Mazzella. So another good run for Mareminides right now. Will he be able to stay ahead of the chasing ozones? Mareminides on the Element kite, and then the 2 ozones of Bainbridge and Mazzella chasing him hard.
Yes, they are really following the gust. You can see they try to be spread between them to allow them to go a little bit more deep or get more speed up back, or now they are close to jibe.
The impression I get, and maybe this is what we'll see on the tracking here now as well, is that maybe the ozones are getting a little bit more depth. They just look like the ozones have a slightly deeper line. And Mazzella, as you said earlier, Mirko, he's always been good on the downwinds. He was always good with the ozones in the past before he switched to the fly surfer in the last cycle. But these ozones seem to be dragging these guys downhill pretty nicely right now.
Yes, definitely. I mean, this is you can easily see he can keep his kite way lower, and the angle to the mark, to the leeward mark, is for sure is deeper.
Mazzella just managing to get down in front of Cameron Maramonides. He's got about another 2 knots of speed. Mazzella doing about 36 knots. Maramonides doing about 34 knots downwind. And it looks like Mazzella's done enough to get into the lead ahead of Maramonides. And that's quite a significant gain for the Frenchman in the space of just one leg as he swings the black and white ozone kite back down towards the water. And now it's up to Maramonides to see if he can exert the power of his element kite on the upwind leg.
Yes, exactly. But we noticed something that I said it wrong. Riccardo Pianosi, which is sitting in third now, he got his old kite. He's the green fly surfer now.
Wow, okay. So like another Italian rider, Maggie Pichetto, told me half an hour ago, she felt that as you get to the smaller kites, the difference between one kite and another is maybe less significant. So we don't get to see the 11 square meters used very often in competition because we don't see the wind as strong as this very often. But Pianosi going very well with some older tech from Fly Surfer.
Yes, exactly, for sure. The smaller size, they didn't change a lot in terms of design, little bit, but maybe not too much like the biggest one, for sure. But impressive what Axel Mazzella did it, rounding 4th or 5th, the windward mark, and leading now just straight after the downwind leg. So
and none of the leaders but doing an early tack off. They're all happy to go out to the left-hand side, and it looks like they're all going to pretty much bang the left-hand corner of this second upwind leg.
And Ricky Pianosi from behind this try to sail more in higher mode compared to Maramonides, but he's just behind. And Max Mader, he had to raise his kite to avoid Maramonides.
Would that be a protest or?
It was no contact. Let's see, kind of. It was really close.
Yeah.
We're talking about sportsmanship, and he raised his kite on starboard. So
yeah, yeah, Maramonides owes him a cappuccino or a cup of tea or something. So we got the yellow bib of Axel Mazzella. He was leading coming into the day overall. He's leading this race. And Mazzella, after a bit of a shaky earlier session, really seems to be coming into his own in these stronger winds. It really looks like Mazzella is the one to beat in these conditions. But Maramonides is still pushing him hard.
Yes, he's just behind. He doesn't give any single centimeter to him. And you have to keep pushing. And there is no room for mistake. And in third, I don't see any more Pianosi. And Connor is just behind. And big splash for Max Mader, which now is sitting in third.
This drone shot is beautiful, but it doesn't give you a sense of how lumpy it looks from sea level, does it? It looks quite flat when you see it, but you look at it from this angle here, and then you see it's actually pretty lumpy in places there, even though we're talking about this offshore breeze. There goes Cameron Maramonides safely through the tack. This is probably the last tack of race 10 for Maramonides, but has he done enough to be able to beat Axel Mazzella? Axel Mazzella firing across the finish line. It's going to be another race win for the Frenchman. Race 10 set to go towards Axel Mazzella, and Riccardo Pianosi also up there. Good racing for Pianosi. But the race win goes to Frenchman Axel Marzella, absolutely on fire this afternoon, really come into his own in these stronger wind conditions. And Max Mader, well, he's not winning races the way that we normally expect, but he's always up there. He's always nipping away in the top 3 or 4. So I suspect that the yellow bib is going to go towards Max Mader by the end of the day. Other good performers in that race: Cameron Marimonides, Jan Stragiotti getting up there by the end, Martin Dolens, Wojtek Koska still up there in 7th by the end of the race, Carl Mader, Lorenzo Boschetti and Flo Gruber also doing well. And the in terms of the women, Maya Ashkenazi, the Israeli rider, going really well today. Think just beaten by Tiana Laporte, and Maggie Pachetto, as far as I can see, is the leading woman in that race. So Pachetto was really looking forward to switching down to the 11 square meters. She felt that her older fly surfer gear would be less disadvantaged as they got to the smaller equipment for the higher wind range, and Pachetto looks like she's certainly going very well in these stronger wind conditions. So well done to the Italian rider.
Yes, true.
We'll go to a quick ad break. We'll be back to you shortly. One more race to go this afternoon. We look like we're going to complete all 6 scheduled races here on beautiful Poeto Beach here for the second last day of KiteFoil World Series Sardinia. I'm Andy Rice and I'm with Mirko Babini, who is local to Cagliari. And Mirko, we've seen some really high-speed racing just then. Just talk us through some of the speeds that we saw with the downwinds just then.
Yeah, on the downwind we saw that they record 38 knots on the downwind by Axel Marzella, but impressive how many other they had 37.9, like Pianosi and Marimonides and Martin Dolenk and I think somebody else. But that means a lot of them, they are able to go close to 38 knots. And it's really impressive with 11 meter, and we can notice that when they round the windward mark is really flat at the beginning, but when they make the highest speed is where it starts to be also choppy, so they push more and more to keep the foil into the water. So it's really impressive to have this kind of speed.
And we've got so many different kite choices in amongst all those riders that you've mentioned. They're all doing pretty much the same speed downwind, 38 knots.
At least 4 different. At least
4 different kites. So that makes me wonder, maybe the kite choice isn't actually that critical for this top end speed. We haven't spoken so much about the foils, but of course we've got 2 major foil manufacturers which are quite different in design philosophy, and we see both of them going quickly as well. But Levitas has won more world championships than any other brand in recent years, and yet when it came to the Olympic Games, it was Chubanga that came away with both gold medals. But in the men, well, that was Valentin Bontis on Chubanga, and then Levitas taking the silver and the bronze with Tony Vodicek and Max Mader. So there's obviously not a lot to choose between them. But what's your impression of the next generation of these foils between Chubanga and Levitas?
I think first of all that the foil, because it's a one person with the sensibility and just with two legs and with a small board, to get the performance from the foil, you need to know very well, to spend a lot of time on the foil, and to give as much as confidence as possible to the foil. So I think this is why we have, let's say, not 50%, but maybe 640 right now, and where both foils, they might reach the same speed in terms of opportunity that they give you, they allowed you to go fast, but the way that is managed and give you the sensibility, give you the opportunity to be confident to into the board and pushing harder to get the speed to allow you to do so. So I think is a combination of multiple elements to go with the foil. It's not only because one foil is faster than the other. There is different foil that are more close to your way to manage your pushing, your weight, your body physique, and your kite. I mean, is a part of fine tuning. I guess this is the key element from the rider to find out which is the maximum speed, but being comfortable and to have it confidence going that fast, because maybe you can reach the maximum speed for a couple of seconds, but you feel always on the hex. No, you never know. I mean, how it's going to happen the next step. You have to be really comfortable on your board, and you need to trust the foil, because when it starts to ventilate or bending or something happen under your feet, you get it, you notice. And if you start to notice that, then it's too late, because then you can crash. And so it doesn't make any sense to have alpha knot or 0.2 knots faster when you will make a mistake just straight after. So I think it's really kind of a combination. This is why I really like the way where they train, because and then I speak a lot with all of them, most of them, and honestly, none of them, they are saying, I test the foil, this is the good one. None of them. They need to spend more time, because maybe you have one sensation on Monday with one kite, and then different sensibility or different sensation, different feeling on 2 days after. So I think few of them, they have both. Most of them, they start already to believe in one and to spend hour on it. This is the key.
Yeah, well, what's interesting is that most of the World Championships in recent years have been won on Levitas foils. People like Max Mader, Tony Vodicek in the men, and in the women, Lauriane Nolot and Daniela Moros. So nearly all the world titles won on Levitas. And yet the bulk of the fleet was using Chubanga. And you think, well, why, if the World Championships being won on Levitas, are people choosing Chubanga? And I remember when Valentin Bontis switched from Levitas to Chubanga just a week or so before the World Championships in 2023 in The Hague, that instantly transformed his performance, and it gave him a level of confidence that he felt, okay, the Levitas has a higher top end speed, but the Chubanga, it feels more stable, and he was able to push more consistently and harder. And that's what lifted him from someone who normally finishes in the mid to late teens to finishing fourth at the World Championship. And that, for him, was an almost instant fall. It was love at first sight with Chubanga. For him that worked. But you can't argue with the fact that Levitas had won so much, and two of the riders that beat him at those World Championships, in fact finishing first and second overall, were both using Levitas. That was Max Mader and Tony Vodicek. So there's no arguing that the Levitas is fast, because it definitely is. But it's this level of comfort that it works for some people and it doesn't work for others. So that it seems like riding style and your own personal preference has something to do with it as well.
Yes, exactly. This is why I don't think that one foil is clearly faster than the other one, because we can see on the top five we have always almost half and half. So that means at this level it's the same, or one can have a little bit more than the other. But what it makes the difference is the confidence that the competitors, the rider, has in top of it.
We've got just over 5 minutes to the start of what will be our last race this afternoon on day 3 of KiteFoil World Series Sardinia. We mentioned earlier we had an interview with Yannis Maus, the guy who went to Germany for Germany to the recent Olympics. Someone who's nipping at the heels of Yannis Maus, wanting to grab that spot for Los Angeles 2028, is Jan Voster. So let's hear a little bit more about Jan Voster from Germany.
I'm Jan Voster and I'm from Germany. I was the under-21 World Championships in Jiu-Jitsu. I had my struggles during the qualifying series, and I didn't advance to the finals directly, so I had to take the extra steps through the semi-finals, which I completed easily, I would say. And then I had a great time in the final. My technical side in kitesurfing was very good. I have a good feeling for the kite. I'm very sensitive to what my gear is doing, and I really feel comfortable when I'm riding, just feeling that I do the right thing, like I'm good at that. I've kind of talent for it. So I think if I start to make very smart decisions on the race course and read my surroundings, I can be a lot better sailor than I'm right now. I have two very well-known and strong teammates, Florian Gruber and Yannis Maus, who are both known names in our sport. And yeah, we will see if both of them or one of them will continue to compete. I hope so, to have a great accompanying training partner and like friend during the next 4 years. We can have a great teamwork, working together as German riders, achieving a good performance in the Olympic Games in LA. And yeah, I hope that everything is going well for me, and I'm really going to enjoy the journey.
So there's Jan Voster, and really enjoying his time here on Poeto Beach. Now, we've got some updated scores. Let's find out how things stand now. Just waiting to get those results up on the screen. I think it's going to be very close.
Yeah, we were guessing a couple of minutes ago that seeing Axel Mazella continue to score first. So he had 2 bullets so far over the last 2 races. He must be really close to Max Mader, and it's going to be interesting to see from the last race who's going to wear their yellow bib tomorrow.
Yes, and it's a critical advantage to go into the final day wearing the yellow bib. But just to remind you, for the medal series, we've got a format which we think works really well, and I think that was proven at the recent Olympic Games. If you go into the final day wearing the leader's yellow bib, you carry through 2 wins. That's your reward. You're on match point. You only need to win 1 more. There we are. Max Mader still in the lead, but look at it, on equal points with Axel Mazella. So if Mazella manages to win a 3rd straight race, he will move ahead of Max Mader. Benoit Gomez in 3rd, Jan Stragiotti 4th, 5th Conor Bainbridge, 6th Cameron Maramonides, and then 7th, 8th, 9th and 10th. Not much change there. So Wojtek Koska actually has gone up 1 to 9th, and there is a critical difference between being 9th and 10th, which I can also tell you about, because only 9 are guaranteed to go through to the medal series from today. Yannis Maus, if he were to stay in 10th, would have to join the rest of the fleet, the whole of the rest of the fleet, all the way down to last place, and they will compete in what we call the golden ticket race, which will be the first race that takes place tomorrow. And quite often it's my man Mirko Babini that's driving the rabbit boat, because it's a rabbit start where the whole fleet fires out behind a high-speed, high-moving James Bond style high-speed powerboat, and it's a 1 long-distance race, and whichever is the first man and the first woman to cross the finish line of that long distance race will grab their golden ticket and will take that 10th spot into the final medal series. So it gives the opportunity, a very slim opportunity, admittedly, for anybody, any of these kites that you see here today in your screen right now with 25 seconds to go, could still win the overall competition tomorrow. But you would much rather do it from the top of the mountain. And at the moment, the battle for the top of the mountain stands between Axel Mazzella, winner of the last 2 races, and Max Mader, who has been the most consistent across all the races so far. 5 seconds to go. Here we go. This is the start of race 11, our final of 6 fleet races that we are showing you on day 3 of Formula Kite World Series Sardinia. Start not clear, so somebody was over the line. When we find out who that is, we will let you know, but someone is going to cross the finish line disappointed. And someone is struggling at the back over there, that yellow kite just going out of picture. And it is the typical charge out to the left-hand side for the bulk of the fleet. And that's Jessie Campman in the middle of picture with the yellow bib. And just in front of her, I'm just trying to identify who that is. I can't quite work out who I was seeing just then.
Cameron, I guess.
So that could well be Cameron Maromanides in the middle of picture with the red element kite. What a great day the Greek rider has been enjoying. And Mirko, what's the tracking telling you?
On the right side, there is Martin Dolenc, Riccardo Pianozzi, Gian Andrea Stragiotti, and Karl Mader is on the center of the fleet, all the way on the starboard side, and they keep the left side of the course. Alexander Ellen and Cameron, they are more close to the ley line on the to the left line of the course, and they can't tack now, but they will start sooner. Lorenzo is in front. What is really nice to see on the right side of the course, Axel, quite conservative, going on port on the center of the course, just windward to Connor and Benoit Gomez. So they were all of them, they went all of them on the right side of the course.
And just on the right of picture with the yellow bib and the black and white ozone, this is Axel Mazzella going fast on the right-hand side of the race course, getting quite close to ley line out on the right-hand side. There is the tack for Mazzella.
Yeah, we can see Mazzella and Benoit Gomez coming already on the ley line just behind. You can recognize because he has the red bib.
And there's Max Mader with the blue bib.
Yeah, with all the one coming on port to the ley line. There is Pianozzi, we can recognize Pianozzi, Max Mader, and Lorenzo Boschetti, Gian Andrea Stragiotti. They are all one behind the other. It's going to be interesting. Pretty close. It will be pretty close.
Mader certainly in amongst the top group, and remember that the key thing to watch today is who's going to come out ahead between Mader and Mazzella. Around the top mark,
Pianozzi.
who are you seeing?
Pianozzi. You can see with the old kite with ITA on it, the green fly surfer using on the previous cycle with a 3-letter code, national letter code, and Connor Bainbridge and Cameron Maremenides. So Riccardo Pianozzi, Maremenides, and Gian Andrea Stragiotti and Max Mader.
What a beautiful sight that is. I love that little wake flying off the back of the foils of each of them. It's so picturesque. But in terms of performance, amazing performance by Riccardo Pianozzi, proving that the older edition of the Fly Surfer kite is every bit the match of any of the new kites in these stronger winds right now. Cameron Maramonides also doing well. Jan Stragiotti, our two surprise race winners from today, doing really well. But will it be yet another race winner that we see? Will Pianozzi be able to hold on to his lead? And meanwhile, the battle between Mazzella and Maida continues. You can see Mazzella with the yellow bib at the front of this pack.
Yeah, let's see if Mazzella also in this time on the downwind leg, if he can overtake some of the other, because it's really deep. And again, you can see from here, it's always the deepest.
He's got a much more upright stance. He looks like he's really pushing his body and his legs through the bottom of that board. And I wonder if there's that sort of upright technique as opposed to the more bent over technique is something else that's working in Mazzella's favor?
Yeah, probably is the technique. The only one that we can see when it goes downwind, which is stay really straight, is also Riccardo. I know that he has a really straight and forward position compared to the other, not folded. And maybe this is something that helped to be faster and lower.
A really beautiful rounding by Pianozzi, just a brief splashdown as his board hits the waves, and also some splashdowns for Maida, but that looks like it's Max Maida who's winning the battle against Mazzella. So it looks increasingly like Maida might take that yellow bib away from Mazzella, and if he does that, that means it would move Maida to match point. He'd only need to win one more race tomorrow, and Maida would take the title here in Sardinia. But that's Mazzella just 2 places back, and Mazzella looking fast. He's looking like he's good upwind angle there. He's got a lot to do to be able to catch up on Maida. He's probably going to require a mistake from Maida. But it's not over yet. They've still got most of this second upwind leg to do.
Yes, exactly. But we can see he's keeping the lead, Riccardo, just in front of Maida, and Maida is trying to keep a little bit higher mode compared to Riccardo. It's going to be really interesting when they will join the ley line and tacking. Here we can see Marimenides together with Axel. Axel is going for an early tack.
And just to update you, we remember it wasn't a clear start. Well, it was USA's Adam Keaton who was over the line. So bad luck for Keaton, but in terms of the race that we're watching here, nothing changes.
Oh, beautiful. I love the tacking, the way they are tacking, the technique that they find out over the last a year and a half, I would say. So smooth, and gaining this 15 to 20 meter upwind during is really a ballet dancing.
Does it translate to the dance floor? Are these tackers good at doing moves on the dance floor? Because it does look, as you say, very balletic.
It's difficult, really difficult to say. I don't know ballet and so on, but I can tell you in terms of the way to gain space upwind, the way that they are tacking, pumping a little bit and be super smooth with the foil is amazing to see.
It looks to me like Max Maida on the left has a slightly higher angle than Riccardo Pianozzi, and I'm just wondering if the newer generation of equipment is working to Maida's advantage here.
Probably yes, but we know very well which is the weapon that Max has is upwind on port.
Right.
Since ever, the upwind on port has been always the big difference that Max did it. Okay, but now he's in starboard and. Oof!
Oh, that was a good tack there by Riccardo Pianozzi.
Yeah.
The Italian kite swings up in the air just over that mark, and Pianozzi pushing hard against his arch rival, Max Mader. They've had so many battles over the years through the youth and now the senior division. But the last victory of the day goes to Italy's Riccardo Pianozzi, winning on home waters ahead of Singapore's Max Mader, who gets second across the finish line, which is going to be enough. Oh, there's a splash down there. Mirko,
Connor.
what have you seen?
Connor. No, that Connor is behind.
Across the line next, it's good finishes for Axel Mazzella and Jan Stragiotti.
Was Stragiotti.
Stragiotti was in the drink. Okay. And what this also means is that Max Mader has now done enough to move ahead of Axel Mazzella in the overall standings. And so Mader will go into the final day wearing the yellow bib. He'll be on 2 wins. He's on match point. He only needs to win 1 more race and he will take out the title here in Sardinia. So that was a bit of a slip by Axel Mazzella, but he will hold on to second place and still carry 1 win into the final. As to the rest of the fleet, they will have to battle their way through the other stages, whether it's through the golden ticket race or through the knockout rounds of the repechage, the quarterfinal and the semi-final. And as the women cross the line as well, we will try to update you with who's doing what in the women's standings, and we will update you as soon as we can on that.
I think it's Helen. No.
Elena Langvilla, you think?
Elena, no. She's the only one reaching the lay line, and the next stack it will be the one that take her to the rounding mark.
So it's been a glorious day here in Sardinia. We started out with another splash down there. Is that the repeat of what we saw?
This is one. The replay for Jan Stragiotti.
Yeah. So Gian Andrea Stragiotti, well, he's not infallible, but he's had a great day. And okay, so he's proven he's still mortal, but Stragiotti really taking a step up over the last few months.
Yes, exactly. I think he will be happy today, definitely happy, and like also closing the day. I mean, finishing the day with 2 bullets for Axel to win, and the last win for Riccardo. It gives you the confidence to get into the final day for the middle series.
We've had a lot of different race winners today, haven't we? And that's really good to see. We're seeing a lot of evidence here that the new generation of equipment is universally quick. Occasionally, we're seeing people like Riccardo Pianozzi proving that the older generation equipment can still hold its own in certain conditions, particularly in the stronger winds. Well, I'm going to run out onto the beach and we will close the show with a few interviews. Mirko, thank you very much for joining me. We will be back in the studio tomorrow for the medals series, but just we will go to an ad very shortly, but just stay with us because I'm going to try and get some interviews with some of our leading lights. Back to you in a moment.
Are we in the way here or?
Right, I'm going to see if I can get a word with Riccardo Pianozzi. Let's see if we can get the winner of the last race just now. Riccardo, congratulations. Using an old kite. Was that by choice? You're quite happy to use the old Fly Surfer?
I just had the old Fly Surfer. I don't have the new kite, just the small size I don't have. And I also broke the foil, so I was with the V3 in the first race today this morning. When I was first, I crashed in the downwind and I broke the foil. I broke also the board and was a bit scared. Finished with the foil in my face, but it's okay.
What, you hurt yourself with the foil in the face?
Yeah, I finished on my body. It hit me. But at the end, I didn't manage to finish that race. But yeah, at the end was a good day.
And you were going quick downwind. Is that how it felt from on the board?
Yeah, I feel very good in the downwind, especially in the last two, where the wind picks up a bit, and I think I did 2 good races.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
What kind of conditions would you be hoping for tomorrow?
It doesn't matter. Just I hope to go fast. I don't hope for some condition because with the Mistral, it's every day can be changed every time.
Well, looking good and getting better by the race as well, by the look of it. So good luck tomorrow, Riccardo.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
This weekend I'll be going to a grande. You do to a grande or no? Yeah, I do. You can go.
Max,
yes.
Well done. You didn't manage to win any races, but you are, we believe, going to take over the yellow bib. So you've done enough to put yourself on match point tomorrow. So I guess that's a good day, right?
I guess so. I mean, it was definitely very thrilling. I don't know how it stands like with the points, especially because of the discards. But yeah, it was an interesting day nonetheless. And definitely you see all these different you have all these different ideas about what kite's good at doing what, and then you have someone like Ricky who's on the old gear and he just rides fast, rides better than everyone and gets a bullet in the end as well, and a good result in the second race. I mean, it was super impressive.
Yeah, you're all going to be buying up the old kites again, aren't you? You got a bit too early into the new gear.
I mean, that was outstandingly impressive that he just they just rode like that and pushed through. I mean, I got to say, I was gonna say, oh, perhaps this is a little bit of a different dynamic with the smaller kites between the different brands, and then Ricky bashed that theory, and I guess we're back to the drawing board.
Well, I guess if it can't be a new Fly Surfer, the next best thing is an old Fly Surfer, right?
I guess so.
Yeah, but we are seeing the other brands. I mean, Fly Surfer's had it all their own way the last couple of seasons, but look at the performance of some of these other riders today on Ozones and Elements. I mean, quite an exciting time right now.
Absolutely.
Well, Max, you've still come out ahead, we think.
We'll see.
So all the best tomorrow.
Yes.
We start with the golden ticket race. I don't know if you're ever going to take part in a golden ticket race, but...
perhaps, but it's definitely fun to watch.
Yeah, well, you have the privilege of watching from the sidelines tomorrow, so...
Hats off to everyone who raced today. I mean, they've made it an absolutely exhilarating competition. I don't know what it was like, but definitely the back and forth between everyone made it so exciting out on the race course. I am dead tired right now. My whole body is just aching.
I mean, in the best possible way, we love to see other winners of races other than Max Mader.
Yeah, it's great, isn't it?
Anyway, you are still sitting pretty for tomorrow, so good luck for tomorrow.
Thank you, Andy.
Thank you, Max. And we're going to close out today's show, but do come back tomorrow because we've got the medal series. Mirko, any final comments from you? You good? Any observations from the beach?
No, I'm fine. I was try to see someone taking the bar, looking the line, look their foil, if it's still everything okay after 6 races of today. I guess that some of them, they have to refine something for tomorrow. It's going to be a big battle tomorrow.
Yeah, it for sure will be. We've had absolutely stellar conditions today. We're expecting more of that tomorrow here on Puerto Beach in the south of Sardinia. So from Mirko Bobini and myself, Andy Rice, hope you've enjoyed today. Come back tomorrow for the showdown. Let's see who wins the medals out of tomorrow's medal series. See you then.
See you.